Evil a lot, actually, lately. I feel like it comes up more frequently than other games that I've, like, okay, I got Age of Steam recently.
Right.
Was really excited about Age of Steam. And we played it, and it was great. I liked it a lot, and I want to play more. But like, I've been kind of looking forward to Age of Steam since the Kickstarter last year, I think, beginning of this year. But then Sea Evil kind of showed up, and has been, like, dominating my gaming thoughts over the last, like, 2 weeks. And I've had it for maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've logged the most plays in Sea Evil of anything else lately at 2, which is just sort of maybe the better takeaway is that I don't replay things as much as I would like.
Sure.
But yes, also my first thought the first time we played Sea Evil was I can't wait to play more Sea Evil.
Yeah, and then we did. We played it shortly after that again.
It's a good feeling. But I also feel the same way about Age of Steam.
Sure.
Like, we walked away from Age of Steam and had a commanding victory. And
yes, you did destroy myself and
I blame Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry guys, maybe I didn't teach the game super well. Having not ever played it, I was at a bit of a loss. We almost skipped the first. What was it? The first
first stock issue.
Stock issuing. Yeah, we almost skipped that phase, which would have, I think, bankrupted almost all of us. So maybe that would have been funny if the takeaway of Age of Steam was, I don't see how you don't go bankrupt in the first turn.
How do you win?
But another game that you always think about how you're going to win is Pax Renaissance.
That's true.
James, this game right here that we're playing. I'm Scott. I didn't see you come in. I'm Scott. And welcome to my house and my stream with my friends Brett and James. Say hello.
How's everyone doing?
Hey.
Yes, everyone is great.
We just got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
Immediately sat down on a
Mike in the booth. If you can let us know how everyone is doing, that would be great.
It looks great. Everything is feeling great.
Okay.
I don't know. It's almost too good to be true, sometimes.
Almost. Hey, that's how I felt when the cam link started working.
Right.
Almost too good to be true. Trey, you know what? Plugging stuff in and unplugging it and just doing that over and over again.
It works.
Eventually it will work.
Like a charm.
Yeah.
Like a charm. So tonight, I guess it's the evening, we're going to play some Pax Renaissance, a 3-player game of it. I have played it at 4 a number of times. I don't think it is a great 4-player game. I think it is very good at 2 and 3. It's a little too wacky at 4. You end up... I don't want to compare it to Munchkin because this game is nothing like Munchkin, but... I think at 4 players, it ends up a little like, oh, I see that this guy is 1 king away from victory, so I'm going to take this king away from him. And then the next player says the same thing about the previous one, and so on and so on.
You start taking actions to spite other players instead of...
And it's much easier to do.
Right.
At 4 players, it's way easier to do.
There's a lot of go-around.
Yes. So we're playing 3 tonight instead of the full player count. It's been a little bit, I think, for a few of us to have played this game. It's probably been... I would say 6 months for me.
Yeah.
I think maybe a little longer for you guys.
It's
but
definitely been over a year for me.
Yeah, I know you said it had been a little while. It's a cool game. And with Pax Transhumanity coming out, I guess some people have it already, but if you're at Essen, you probably have it.
Yes. Yeah.
But, yeah, me too. But it got me thinking about the Pax games. Kind of again, though. I guess again since Premier 2nd Edition came out, 6 months ago. But yeah, so we're going to play some Pax Renaissance. This game could end in 20 minutes. It's possible, I guess. Once a comic card comes out, maybe one person will be in a good position. It could last 2 hours. It shouldn't be crazy long, though, at 3 players. Now, I am not going to fully explain how to play this game. I have a video up on my channel. I have a couple, actually, about playing Pax Renaissance. So if you are interested in playing and you don't know how, please check those out. I'll just give kind of a broad overview of the game right now. So if we want to get a shot of the board, I'll give a rundown of that. So in Pax Renaissance, we are bankers. We are bankers in the Renaissance era in Europe. And what we are going to be doing is buying cards from these 2 markets. And that sort of represents us kind of pulling the strings of powerful people in society or taking advantage of events in history. So we will be buying these cards and ultimately putting them into our sort of control area and then taking actions with those cards to influence the map and therefore the world and hopefully in our favor. So we're going to be doing that until one person is able to claim victory. And you claim victory in one of 4 ways. The victory conditions start inactive, so before you can even get one of those 4 ways available, a comment card has to come up in the market. Once that's bought, one of the 4 victory conditions will get activated by the player buying the card, and then anyone can take it for victory if they meet the requirements. It's stuff that's usually involving stuff on the map that you're in control of, be it kingdoms or having religious favor of the dominating religion of the world. But a lot of the game is focused on what's going on out here in the map. And yeah, that's basically it. We're going to go around and around, taking 2 actions apiece until someone is able to claim victory. Maybe some cat action in the background. It's possible. So if you hear yelling and screaming, don't worry. They are very good friends. They just get excited when people are over and they like to wrestle.
We can see them
They're locked
fighting
into their
right
own-
behind you. Like, it's right over your shoulder. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
This is their own religious war.
This is their own religious war. But yeah, so that is Pax Renaissance. That's kind of the broad overview of the game. Before we get started, actually a couple people last time we went live with Sea Evil. If any of you have ever heard of the game Sea Evil, it's called Sea Evil. And someone asked if we had a Patreon account, and the answer is no. I don't yet have a Patreon account, perhaps in the future, but at the moment I don't. What I did set up, though, that kind of gave me impetus to create a PayPal donation link. It is paypal.me/phasingplayer. I believe the link is in the description. Mike, is that right?
It is, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
It is.
So it might be in the description, but I did just say
Let
it
us
out
know,
loud.
chatters, if it's actually in there, but I think I added it.
Okay, so you are by no means obligated to donate. The future of the channel or the immediate success of it has nothing to do with that. It would be a nice little thing, and it would probably make all of us feel pretty good, but don't feel obligated. I'd like to be able to buy my crew a little bit more than pizza.
Pizza was good.
Throw
Pizza was
them,
fine.
throw them something a
was
little
all right.
extra.
It was right. It was nicer pizza.
It's okay. Well, it filled me up at least. But yeah, my buddy Mike, I know has been working real hard on this with me, getting this stream stuff going, and I got my buddy Daryl right back here as well, operating this camera. So I'd love to be able to throw them a few bucks, and you guys would very much help with that. Again, to reiterate though, no obligation.
I'm just going to keep invoicing Scott. And if
Yeah,
he doesn't
just
pay, he doesn't pay.
Just send me your day rate, you guys. Okay, so I am the Fugger Bank of Augsburg, and that gives me a couple of things. First of all, it gives me 2 florins, which is the currency of the game, and it also gives me the distinction of first player. Now, the first player is a good benefit. The 2 florins is not that great. Each succeeding player going clockwise gets more than that. They get 1 more. So Brett over here has 3, or he should have 4 actually. We are going to go ahead then, I guess, with my start. I don't have anything in my tableau at the moment, so I'm going to have to buy something from the market. It's sort of the only opening move that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I haven't really given a good look at this board right now. We've got a couple of Catholic prestige, which could kind of dictate my game plan a little bit going forward. There's some good options for buying concessions, but I only have 2 florins, like I said. So I am going to... I think I'm going to spend 1 on Kingmaker over here. So I'm going to buy this card out of the market and take him into my hand. And, with my second... Is he really worth playing right now? I don't think he is worth playing it, though. I'm going to hang on to him for later. My second action is going to be actually purchasing another card from the Eastern market down here. Pick up this sucker right here. So I'm going to butcher all of these names, I promise you. Saninki Wangara. I'll purchase as well. So my 2 actions this turn, we're purchasing the cheapest card in the market. Then, going to go ahead and refresh it by sliding all these down.
Just like the Fugger Bank.
Just like the Fugger Bank. Just what we are known to do. And yeah, Brett, if you want to go ahead and take care of those.
It's hard to move these cards along your yoga mat.
Yeah, it's sort of the purpose, I guess, but in this example, it ends up being a little tricky. And ooh, Cephavid's coming out. Anyway, going clockwise now, it'd be your turn, James.
Great. Can you remind me the purchasing order, if I want to buy 2 things from the same row.
Yes. You have to buy the cheaper one first, or sorry, the expensive one first.
Okay.
You buy, because you cannot purchase things in such a way where you take money back from the purchase you made.
Okay, so I'm going to spend 2 to buy Holy Land Crusade.
I said that backwards. The cheaper first, not the expensive.
Oh, the cheaper.
Because otherwise, if you buy the expensive one, then you could buy this and take your money back.
Okay.
You can't do that. You buy left to right.
Okay,
I started saying it right and then said it wrong.
got it. So I'm going to buy Santa Hermandad, and I'm going to then...
Face down as well.
Yeah. Then I will buy Holy Land Crusade. Do I put something on this empty?
You do,
Okay.
because as cards slide down, they're going to take that spot.
I'll buy Holy Land Crusade.
Okay, great. Let's go slide these all down then. And Brett, it will be your turn.
Sure. I'm gonna continue the trend
Amerigo
of
Vespucci.
buying things. 'Cause
Amerigo
I'm gonna
Vespucci.
spend a Florence on Inquisition Pope
Okay.
and get my
do
dollar back.
Yep.
And I said before the stream started I was gonna go with Black Sheep Tribe.
Yeah, a
So-
Black Sheep
so
Tribe
I got-
name.
Yeah, you saw that card and you jumped right at it.
Yeah.
Mostly because I could pronounce it.
Yeah, there are a lot of cards in this game for sure
Right.
that end up being
Yeah,
kinda,
you end up making
could be
moves
pronounced.
like Black Sheep Tribe or Jewish Pirates because they're good names.
exciting names.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna put my cubes here so I never mix up the money.
sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Building a little moat.
All right,
The Black
So, let's
Army
see
is
here.
coming out.
Is there a hand limit in this game?
there
I
is. It
forget.
is 2.
Oh,
Yeah, I've
2
met my
cards in
hand
hand.
limit.
I'm holding my player card.
All right, so back to me now.
So for those who haven't picked up yet, the turn structure is you do 2 things and
Yep.
refresh the market.
There will always be these 5 cards available for purchase at the start of your turn, in each market row. All right. Well, I'm thinking that I want to start getting some concessions down, and all right, I'm gonna play this fella here, Sanki Vangara. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that with the V sound because I don't know if that's going to be right. But I'm playing him, and I am opting not to do his trade shift one-shot. But I am going to place his Islamic Rook. So, James, if you want to hand me that Rook over there.
Yes.
So I'm playing this card, and he allows me to place some units on the map, which I'll be able to use for war and conquest later. Hopefully, I will. I mean, anyone can. But I am going to drop that down there, and then I am going to take... as my second op, instead of buying a card because I don't have any money and I need cash right now, I am going to take the, let's say, the Eastern Ops action, and I'm going to take Commerce. Because when I take the Eastern Ops act, I can perform an action with every card I have in my Eastern tableau. Right now it's just one. It's just this guy I just put down. And the only action he has is Commerce in the East. And to do that, what I do is I take 1 florin off of the Eastern market, including the trade fair if I want. And so I'm going to take 1 florin off this market and put it into my stock. And that'll be the end of my turn. Those are my 2 moves.
Great.
We will not change the market because nothing got pulled from it.
Right, and you only refresh the market when there have been no purchases. Or when there have been
are purchases. Yep. Whenever there's an empty spot, you clean up. This is not like, I know in Pax Premier, there are some cards
Right.
when they get to the end of the market you do stuff, but
This only moves.
that doesn't come up here.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. My first action here is going to be playing Santa Hermandad. I can play a Catholic knight anywhere in the West, should I choose. And these are not subject to the same stacking limits that levies are, right?
It is 1 unit per city,
1 unit per city.
but
Okay.
you don't have to follow the printed unit on the map. So if you're trying to put someone in, I don't know, Lyon down here,
Right.
it does not have to be a Catholic knight. It can be any unit.
Okay. So I will put Catholic Knight in Bruges here.
Okay. Actually, this guy, no, he's in Paris. I didn't see that Paris mark. Yep.
And
Sorry to disappoint you, Brett.
I was about to throw the challenge flag.
then I will also play Holy Land Crusade to get more Catholic Knights on the board. So I can place 2 in Mamluk here, but since it's 1 per city, I can only place 1, I believe.
You could put 1 in the second, but you'd have to repress it, and you pay to repress.
Okay, I pay to repress. I don't
Yep.
have any money to do that.
So you're just gonna put the 1.
So I will not. I'm eligible to do a crusade with this person's one-shot action,
Correct.
which is a type of religious war.
Yep. Essentially, you would attack Mamluk, any Catholic units that are
There or adjacent.
or knights that are adjacent.
Knights
would
that are
attack.
adjacent.
So in this case, you would win that fight because this knight over here
Right, is-
diagonals count.
Yep.
So that would attack and it would destroy the one unit.
In this
Mamluk.
case, you do not need to pay those knights. That's only
Correct.
for campaign.
That is for campaigning.
Right,
In this
okay.
case, they are obligated by their religious beliefs.
Okay, so that sounds awesome. That sounds like a great way for me to get Mamluk into my, or the king card into my.
Sure, because it causes a regime change,
Right.
which allows you to take control of the kingdom.
I'll have these two kill each other off,
Okay.
and this card flips.
It is obligated to. So with some
Correct.
regime change, or sorry, not regime changes, but one shots, you may flip it. In the case of religious war, the objective is to convert the country or the,
Right.
the state into that religion. So you have to flip it.
Okay,
And then you take this Mamluk card.
and I place it into my tableau.
It goes into your tableau on the side that it goes to.
Great.
So in that case, it's an Eastern card.
Okay. Sorry for the refresher here, but
By all means,
then do I
You do.
act as if I've played it?
Yep.
Okay.
Whenever you put a card into your tableau, you have the option of playing the banner that has units on it.
Great.
And you cannot double up on those there. So
Great.
it would have to go there. Which it can go there, it just
Yeah.
won't help you with
That's not a
trade,
terribly
with-
useful
with
spot,
trade.
but that's fine.
Yeah. It'll help you with other stuff, voting.
Right. Okay, fantastic. I've gone crusading in the Holy Land and flipped Mamluk to a Catholic theocracy.
Yep.
If I can get a Catholic bishop out on the board,
That's actually true.
I'm very close to winning.
So one of the victory conditions is a holy victory, and one of the religions needs to be dominant across the globe, or across Europe, I guess, Europe and Asia. And to do that, they need to have the most units in their theocracies. Plus, they need to have the most bishops in the game. There are no bishops in the game right now, but now that Mamluk has flipped to the Catholics, they now have the Papal States and the Mamluk theocracies, and they have units there, so they are close to dominating. So now, Brett, it is your turn. 'Cause that was your second, right, Jimmy?
Yes, correct.
Cool.
Sure. So I also need a refresher.
Please.
So on this sheet, it says on the conspiracy one shot that you may flip to its other side if it's on a theocracy side.
Yep.
So if it is not, you cannot flip it.
Right. The conspiracy is made to undo theocracies, essentially.
And that would be
Now, conspiracy will still cause your regime change, though. So you can still get a king, but it doesn't flip the card.
cool.
Unless it is a theocracy.
Sweet. So I will play Black Sheep Tribe into my Eastern tableau.
Okay. Are you going to be playing the unit into the map or doing the conspiracy?
Yes, because you have to play the unit in the map to do the one shot.
That is
right?
correct. If you can do the unit optionally, unless you do the one shot, then you have to put the unit on too. And that goes in Byzantium. So you've Trebizond or what was I can't see that from here now. Kaffa.
Right there, and that causes a regime change.
You can do the conspiracy.
Yes.
That's
So for the conspiracy, you need to attack stuff there, and in order to take that on the conspiracy, it is any knights and rooks on the card attack any knights and rooks on that are getting put into it. So when I say card, I mean the card you're playing. So it would be your one knight that you placed fighting the existing knight. And to be successful, you have to have a unit remain, essentially, from your side. So in this case, those two would kill each other, and your conspiracy would fail because neither side would have anyone standing. So a conspiracy here would not benefit you really.
Got it.
Well, I mean, so I don't want to say wouldn't benefit you because it depends on what else you're trying to do. If you're trying to get rid of Islamic guys, it could benefit you because it would get rid of the one that was there. But if you're just trying to take that as an empire card, it would not benefit you.
In the Crusade, I don't see that one.
And
on
Crusade is very similar. Religious war.
Crusade is what I.
Yeah, it's the
Just
same
did.
sort of idea, except it cares about the color of the units placed. So if you're placing the what is this? The Inquisition Pope. So that would not use your bishop in attack. So right now, playing that into the Papal States, it wouldn't actually really do much because there's nothing to kill there. And for a religious war to succeed, you have to kill heretics. And there are no heretics in the Papal State. They're already Catholic.
Hmm.
I mean, that depends where you're coming from, right? Because, like, maybe you think Catholics are heretics. It's possible.
Well, if you're a reformist, that would be the case.
Yeah. Specifically, the
Maybe I'm a
Crusade action is...
Yes, the Crusade action is specifically tied to Catholics. But thank you, Mike, for your input.
Look, I'm just saying everyone's a heretic to somebody. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
Well, let's see. So I have no sense of strategy in this game.
Well, so I guess
it's turn 2. You're not lost
so
yet.
broadly speaking, for strategy, what I would do is I would take a look at the cards in the market. I would see what's out there because again, there's a whole ton of cards that are in this game, and not all of them get put into each match you play. So the thing I would be looking for is what kind of prestige is immediately available,
Right.
because prestige dictates a few of the victory conditions. There's a reformist prestige here when the anti-pope. There's Catholic's prestige way down here as the Grand Inquisitor. Safavids down there will give you some Islamic prestige, and there's even more Reformation prestige here. So the things I'd be looking at for religious prestige is there are some cheap reformists out there. That could be a little bit of a trap because Reformation can be very hard to push through. But right now I'm seeing a good amount of Reformation prestige out. I'm also seeing Amerigo Vespucci, your boy and mine, Amerigo. God bless America. And he offers voyage prestige, which is actually relatively rare. I think there are only like 4 or 5
Yeah, it's
voyage
not
prestige
a lot.
cards.
There's more in the expansion. Is my
Right, which we are
understanding,
not
but
playing
We're
with.
not playing with.
So some things to note about voyage prestige is that it is exclusive to the West unless you're using the expansion, and there's not much of it. So when voyage prestige comes out, it is a good idea to pay attention to it. Not just so you can take it, but to see who does take it, because that is tied to the globalization victory, and again, it is kind of rare. So I know I just said a whole lot, but I would look towards what prestige is available. That to me, that is kind of a starter for what you should be doing. I know you already bought some Catholic prestige,
Sure.
and that's fine. Having multiple is no problem.
But we have a hand limit of 2.
We do have a hand limit of 2, so you're going to need to play or sell a card. You may sell cards.
So I can. Where do we want our discard pile to be on the camera?
We can just set it off to this. Just maybe like to the top over here.
Sure.
But,
I'll
yeah.
sell that for 2 Florences
Pair of Florins.
to make a couple bucks on that. And I actually will buy the naval prestige.
Voyage prestige. Amerigo Vespucci. So I said we are not playing with the expansion. We're not playing with the expansion. We do, however, have the Board Game Geek 5-card expansion in here. Amerigo is part of that. So there are a few cards in here that are not part of the core game. I feel like they're way more benign than the full expansion. The full expansion is kind of wild. I'm actually not a huge fan of it. I think it adds a little too much
Yeah, we
chaos.
played with it the one time, and it seemed pretty hectic.
It screwed stuff up a little
Yeah.
bit. But I mean, I've only played with it a couple times, so maybe it would grow on me. But for like $130 or whatever it is on the aftermarket,
Yeah.
it's not worth the
Maybe it'll be
risk.
bundled with the rumored reprint.
Yeah, I don't even think it's rumored anymore. I think the deluxe edition is coming next year on
Okay.
Kickstarter, and presumably if it's deluxe, it'll come with everything. Who knows? Anyway,
Regardless, that was my 2 things. I sold a thing and I
Yes, you
bought a
did.
thing.
Cool. So refresh the market. So at the start of the game, before we went live, I did set up these decks in a sort of specific way. You essentially create 2 mini decks for each the east and the west stacks, and within the bottom deck of each one, you have the comet cards. There are 2 comet cards in each deck, the east and the west deck. And when those come into the market, those can be purchased to activate victory conditions, like I mentioned earlier. So we're going to keep doing this. Essentially, it's like a ticking time bomb almost. We're waiting until comets come out, because that is going to be like kind of put up or shut up time. But those are they're going to be a little bit. I think we put 12 cards above the earliest comet card that can come out. So it might be a little bit before one comes around. Anyway, it's my turn. So I still need cash pretty bad. I'm kind of thinking of doing a trade fair action. If I do that, I would only get money from the western trade route.
Mm-hmm.
The eastern one, I'm going to have to open up Trebizond. And who knows if that card's even in here. So let's pick up Podesta of Venice. I'll put $1 down and take $1 back for the Podesta of Venice. And then I am just going to go ahead and play the Podesta into my my Western market. So in doing that, it gives me one pawn, one concession next to Mamluk. Right now, those are actually, I'm seeing now as I'm kind of talking my turn out loud here, you have dudes over there.
I do.
I can repress them, but I have to give you money to do it. And I think I will. Or do I forget if I give you money or do I spend money? I think I might just give it to the bank in China. When I am placing a dude, I think I just spend it. I think I just give the money to China. So I'm going to put this here, and we can undo it in a minute if that's not the case. When it's not my turn, I'll confirm. And I'm going to take this and repress it, and it will get repressed onto your Mamluk king card. Then that is the end of my turn because I purchased and I played a card. So that's it, just those two. Go ahead, James. It is your turn.
Interesting. So now I'm in a tight spot because I need money also from a trade fair. But the way that I get money from a trade fair is through my concessions primarily. And now you have repressed my concessions.
Yep.
I can tax, but I don't believe that directly pays me.
No, not unless you have concessions, because
Right.
you tax your concessions, and the owner of that concession pays $1. So actually, you would lose money on taxes.
Interesting.
Yeah, tax is kind of a two-way street. It can get rid of concessions because it can either like let's say for instance you taxed Mamluk,
Mm-hmm.
that would force me to either repress this guy or pay $1.
Right.
I don't have $1.
Right.
So then I would have to repress it, which then opens that up for you to put more dudes. Taxing also lets me place levies, though.
That's right.
So that would add a Catholic rook to Cairo.
Okay. You earn money from a trade fair just for starting it, though, correct?
Sure do, buddy. You
Correct.
get one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me go ahead and do this Western Trade Fair. I'm going to take the Western Trade Fair action, and I believe I put 2
Yes.
on the trade fair. We're flush with cash.
Yeah, the Western Trade Fair is ready and raring to go.
Right. I'm going to take 1 of that,
Okay.
and then we start over here, right?
Yep, you're going to start
Okay.
right there on Trebizond.
Which gets a rook, correct?
Yep. Well, either. Actually, you get to choose
Oh,
either.
right.
It's one levy on the map.
Right.
And
So
so
let's...
this is where the printed units on the map matter for placing levies. And so you're going to put a Catholic knight on Kaffa.
a Catholic knight on Budapest.
Okay. Then you're going to keep following this white line
Right.
down here. So you can go to Modan or...
I'll put a Catholic rook in Rhodes.
Okay. Keep going around.
Papal
Nothing
States
in the
is all
Papal
full
States.
up.
You have 2 options here. Timbuktu or Algiers.
I suppose
It's a rook in either one.
Algiers for readability.
Okay, sure.
What's
And
under
then
the
it would
Spice
have to
Islands
be a rook, a Catholic rook in the Spice Islands.
here? And then
The Brett would get one
Brett
of
gets
these
$1.
florins.
Yep.
So when you do a trade fair, you're going to spread money and units around the board. It's actually probably the easiest way to get units on the map.
Great.
I'll take $1 as well in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you pass over someone's concession, they get 1 florin.
All right. It's a very Catholic map.
It is a
map.
super Catholic map right now. This is
and then
maybe the most Catholic I've seen this game.
I believe I also get a benefit from completing the trade.
I don't think you do.
No?
No,
Okay.
completing the trade route doesn't do anything. You get 1 for starting. That's sort of your bonus.
Okay. I might be remembering
There are a lot of
that.
little rules
Yeah.
in this game, but
Okay. So everyone got $1.
yes, that's correct. Thank you. I appreciate that, by the
Yeah,
way.
no problem.
Yeah, I like my dollar.
Yeah, Jacob Fugger appreciates the.
I like my florins.
Yeah,
Right.
florin, please.
He
An
got,
American
he got,
dollar.
he got the
One
dollar.
American,
One
yes,
American-
$1 US dollar.
I have crypto in the Renaissance.
I don't have a ton of fantastic options here
You remind me what the strength of these discs are?
Yeah, so those are closed trade routes.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 trade routes open at a given time, one for the western, one for the eastern. And those are the ones, incidentally, without those discs. So Trebizond and right up here, Tana. It's the ones with the little starbursts. That's where trade routes are going to start. However, as we play cards, there are some that will open up new trade routes. For instance...
Is the place on the card where it opens?
Yes, it'll say, I think, like trade route or something on it, and then the name of the place.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one for Timbuktu, what that'll do is it'll take this disc off of Timbuktu and put it into the currently open trade route, which is Tana.
Mm-hmm.
It will also repress the unit that's on there, if any.
Okay.
And then, instead of following the line from Tana down this way, you would follow it from Trebizond to that end.
So I'm going to do the Western Tableau Ops. I'm going to tax in Mamluk.
Trade shift, everyone right here.
So I'm going to tax your...
Well, I don't like that. So I could pay $1 to keep my guy there.
Mm-hmm.
Which could... Sorry for tapping the table, by the way. Mike. I know you went through... You tried
Sounds
hard.
fine.
You tried hard to stop it.
It sounds fine.
That's good. That's great.
We got
have a
another
whole
thing.
lecture.
It's all good.
Okay, so...
I didn't like the time signature.
Tap it all you want.
Yeah, I need to get better time signatures on my taps. I have 1 florin. I want my guy there. I'm gonna toss my florin away.
Great. And I'm going to tax...
Actually, I think tax... I think you get that. So.
I'm going to tax... let's see, that's all full up, so I'm going to have to tax you again, Scott,
kidding
in
me?
the West.
That's my original
Yeah,
one. That's where I
know.
started.
So this lets me tax
is-
in the West.
this is
so
Fugger
it's
land,
any
man.
of these, right?
The West is any of these.
Meet the fuggers
It's
over
these
here.
6.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, these 6 are the West, and these 4 are the
Okay.
East.
Well, either way, Holy Roman Empire will be...
This is... Okay, look. You're not going to be happy with that, my friend. This is Fugger homeland.
Yeah.
All right? The people love us here.
That's
Jacob
right.
Fugger, he's a household name
Look,
all throughout
it's
the
the only
Holy
legal
Land.
move I've got.
You could buy a
this
card.
No, I've already committed to the answer.
Yeah, he's already done one.
And this lets me do the Inquisitor op, but I don't have a bishop, which is a little
It's true.
goofy.
Yeah,
but
he didn't place one.
yeah. So I'm just gonna have to tax again, and it's right there. And
Who's
I believe-
electing these tax fiends?
Can I just jump in? We do have a comment from Pure Flight. Says tax that B.
Thank you, Graham Carlson.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Sorry to
Wow.
dox Graham Carlson here.
Yeah, we're Graham Carlson of LaGrange, Illinois. We're taxing you.
Doxed it hard.
All right, so I'm taxed. I get repressed then, but
Yeah.
the Holy Roman Empire is not there. Or I guess depending on which one. Either way, France and the Holy
Right.
Roman Empire empires, they're not out here yet. They're still unavailable.
Right.
So he doesn't go to that card like the other concession did. He instead gets put back in my supply. So he's gone. He's
Very
been
cool.
repressed. However, actually, something we forgot the first time you tax, levies get placed.
That's
when
right.
you're taxed. And actually, I take this back. Oh no, this one has
Right.
free.
It is empty. Yeah, I was
So-
going to tax Brett, but
So that Cairo gets a levy.
Non-taxable.
Actually, which one, to be clear, did you tax? It was Mamluk.
yeah, Mamluk.
Okay.
That's my only option.
That's your
for
option.
Holy
And then
Roman
in
Crusade.
here, which one did you hit? It would have had to have been
I
this,
said
guess.
Holy Roman Empire.
So okay, I guess there's
and-
no
right.
this is saturated.
Right. I was looking for the open.
So let's do a night in Nuremberg. Get our first
Let's do it.
reformist out there.
Uh-oh.
And yes, and when you tax, the person getting taxed chooses the levy.
That's Martin Luther right there.
That's my boy, ML. Was it 92 theses? 98 theses? I always forget.
95?
95? Maybe it's 95.
Windows 95?
Yeah, that's right. That was what Windows 95 was
Right.
named after, right?
Yeah.
It was named after Martin Luther's theses.
Yep.
Okay.
That's my turn. A very tax-heavy turn.
A very tax-heavy turn. Because what did you do? You
I
Did
did
ops.
I did the
What
trade
else?
fair, and then I
Trade fair.
did a double tax.
So if I've read this card right,
Yep.
this will be the first time ever playing Pax Ren where I know what I want to do on my turn. When it is my turn.
The dream.
So I'm gonna play Mr. Amerigo
Amerigo Vespucci, the
on
Spooch.
the west.
We were
Yes.
very. I want to make it clear. We as a country, we're in America. We're in Chicago, Illinois, and we were in America inches away because that's how you measure. I think anything
Right.
from being the Spooch land instead of America, named after Amerigo Vespucci. We could have gone the Vespucci name,
Spoochlandia.
Spoochlandia,
Make Vooch
a bunch of
great again.
spoochers. That would have been the slur, I bet. Spoochers.
Spooch.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys live over in the Spooch, they say.
Screw the spooch.
Screw the Spooch. Yeah, that would be the anti-American flag.
But
Yeah.
Spoochers.
Yeah, Spoochers.
Yeah.
So, if I read this correctly, I could put a concession anywhere on the board. the
That
west.
is not quite right. It
No?
would be adjacent to Aragon.
Yep.
Oh no.
Which is right there, or right there.
Yep.
That doesn't directly
It
help
has,
you.
it has to be
but,
orthogonal.
it does make you
Okay.
relatively removal proof, to put it there, where it's not necessarily worth people's time to target it, but you're not going to get money from trade fairs from it.
Sure, like going in the along the trade fairs is valuable, but like Jimmy said, that you can place it here, kind of like his concession right now. You'll never get money from a trade fair there. It'll benefit for other purposes.
Sure.
but
Like a globalization victory.
like
right.
exactly 100% like a
Alright,
globalization
so put
victory.
that there. And then I do a trade shift in the Spice Islands.
You can't,
I cannot.
because if you'll see here, this card has a little ship on it. That means you need to already have a voyage prestige before, so you can't do that one shot.
Damn it.
Sadly, it's actually one of the harder ones to do.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and the prestige from the card does not count for
I
that.
feel like we have
explicitly.
not done that right previously. Entirely possible, but
I'm sure once or twice
Yeah.
when we played, we haven't. I know that I have before, because I remember it coming up in a game once, and it was a thing.
yeah, this game might have the most like little individual things.
It's a
that-
simulation
right.
in a lot of ways. It tries to, simulate a bunch of
Right,
little things.
right.
And so, I guess to open up the Spice Islands, you need people to have impetus to go
Right,
there,
have
to
discovered
travel.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And,
I'm sorry to crush your dreams,
Yeah,
Brett.
Wouldn't it be the first time you crushed my dreams, Scott?
Tough but fair.
All right, so that was one doohickey.
That's what they call them.
I could run the West Fair again, but I think we just all end up with $1.
I will end up. I got. Yeah, I guess I just got one before, but yes, I will actually end up with 0 this time.
Oh yeah, so let's run in the West.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, you're the only one who will end up with anything. You'll end up with $2.
So we put 2
Oh,
in the
true.
bank.
Yep, and you get one for starting it, just off the bat, and then we're gonna follow the same route along the west. So you get a levy here, but it has to right now be Trebizond, a rook in Trebizond. Then
good day
it's gonna
for
go
the
here.
Reformation.
Oh, the Reformation is on the rise, my friend.
Yeah.
And then you're
And
gonna
so,
go
yeah,
here for another Reformationist.
I could have put my concession cube either here or there to get another $1.
You could have.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm playing the long game here, folks.
Sure. So nothing in the Papal States. We get an Islamic rook here. Put that on top of the disc. We get nothing here. Brett, you get 1 florin from here. There you go. I like your little fenced off.
I will
Yeah.
definitely
Region here.
cheat
The
accidentally.
florin paddock.
Yeah, Daryl, can we get a little shot of this fenced off money here that Brett has sort of set up?
I cannot be trusted by the bank. Not
It's a very nice,
Not for,
very
like,
nice little.
not that I'm like a
Up here.
cheater, but I'll just inevitably fiddle
Oh,
with the
absolutely.
So
pieces.
you got your florin. In England, there'll be nothing because this is already saturated with units. As is France, and we'll get another reformist rook over here in Novgorod.
Terrible. The
Yeah.
Reformation
putting
is the place to be right
putting the
now.
people's
So
elbow
this-
on the Catholics.
It is, and the people's eyebrows coming up. So, the map right now is saturated. There's nothing else that can be put out without destroying an existing unit. Everything has something right
We
now.
gotta have some war.
It also, this is still like a Catholic-dominated map,
Oh yeah.
which I guess
Yeah.
is the case regardless. There are more Catholic levies, I think, available. But you having flipped Mamluk is what's skewing
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, let's.
Those 2 things.
That was your 2 moves. So it's now my turn, and I have no money once again.
Feels good.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good, Brett.
It's a bad way to start off the game.
It is. That's the hard part about being
Right.
the Fugger, the bank of the Fugger Bank of Augsburg, is you start off so
Right.
cash poor.
You can, similarly to how Brett benefited from the Western trade fair, you could benefit from the Eastern one because you're the only person who's going
It's
to
true.
make money on it.
I will get $2 out of it,
Uh,
and I think I might have to do that. I would love to get the Anti-Pope. The Anti-Pope is a good card. He's got the Reformation ability. He's got prestige. He adds a bishop, and he can move that bishop. But I don't have the money to. Even though he gives me $1, I don't have the money to buy him.
Right.
Which I'll say is the worst spot to be in. where all I need is
Absolutely.
$1 and I would then lose nothing. But I can't even do that. I'm so poor.
Before you continue on, when I played this card, could I have done one of these
Do
two
you see
things?
what Ali's
No.
doing? He's stalking me here.
Yeah, checks
Would
out.
you want to
He's
handle
climbing over the.
Yeah.
Oh, he's leaving.
He's leaving. So I have a cat named Oliver. He's a sweetheart. He's a lovely boy. But he doesn't get along with strangers. And he's also, however, very social. When people are around, he wants to be the center of attention. In all honesty, I'm surprised he's not on this table right now.
I'm over here running the stream. He's trying to climb over the monitor.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oliver is trying to get up close and personal with
And
Mike.
my only
but-
other interactions with him are him scratching me. So.
Yes, he's a very aggressive boy with people he doesn't really know. I mean, that's not true. With people he doesn't see every single day. He loves me. He snuggles. He sleeps with me at night.
Yeah, I got a shot of him
But-
on the. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there's my boy, Oliver. Hey,
There's
buddy.
on the cam.
I mean, how many
See,
hours
this is
do you
why
have
we
to
gotta
spend
have a
with them?
camera operator. All right. Anyway, back to the game at hand. I am going to do the Eastern Trade Fair. So, $2 go on the Eastern Trade Fair card. Oh, also, we should be. My bad. We when we do trade fairs, we need to be cycling these cards. It slipped my mind. So, you did just do this one. Is that
Yep,
right?
yep,
so
yep.
why don't we cycle that right now?
So anti-pope would go away.
So anti-pope goes away.
R.I.P.
This goes with him.
That's
And
why
then
I did
everything
the
else.
action. Is I wanted to kill
Goes
the
here.
anti-pope.
It's my bad. I know I forgot that before. So
Yeah,
apologies.
it's-
Apologies.
What about the money?
That stays on there.
Okay.
I just took it off to move it down. All right. Then I'm doing the Eastern Trade Fair. And what got lost? It was another reformist. Reformed theology. Got kicked
We knew
out.
that.
Yeah, we knew that when the game started.
We did, but just I kind of have to put it out there. That got another reformist prestige is gone. So I'm doing this one. I put the $2 on there. I'm taking 1 florin for myself. And we already did this. It's just going to go from Tana up here. And the Eastern Trade Fair just goes around the corner to Mamluk. And I'm the only one that's going to get a florin. No levies get placed because they're full up.
Mm-hmm.
So this then is going to get discarded. However, it won't get replaced until the end of the cleanup phase.
Sure.
I still have a turn. So I am going to purchase. Let's go for. This guy does a peasant revolt in the west, which that could be okay, because peasant revolt uses concessions to fight, in addition to repressed units. Let's do it actually. Not for the peasant revolt, but for the siege. He can siege anywhere in the west, which is very strong.
That is powerful.
So I'm going to spend a florin to take him. Schwarzerhaufen, who is a very good card. Those 2 cards in my hand. That's my second action.
Can you show us that card again
Absolutely.
so that we can see it? I missed it.
Here's where I'm going to put him right here where he was. Schwarzerhaufen.
No, hold him closer so we can see.
Sure, here.
See this
Here,
thing.
Daryl. We'll look it up right here.
What's good about him?
So the nice thing about him is he has a region of the West, which is 6 of the 10 cards on the map. Most cards, if you look at my guy here, Podesta of Venice, he only affects things in Mamluk, right? So he doesn't have any actions, but if he did, I guess that's maybe a better option is him. So he's got commerce in Aragon. Okay, I'm drawing blank. The commerce doesn't affect only Aragon. Anyway, my point is he affects everything in the West. Most people only affect one region. I happen to have 2 cards where that doesn't matter. But this guy's nice because he can siege anywhere in the West, and sieging lets you just kill a unit. So I can just pick 1 unit in any of the Western states and destroy it once he's in play.
Schwarzerhaufen goes hard.
Schwarzerhaufen does not mess around.
He does not mess around.
But he isn't in my hand yet, or isn't in my tableau. He's only in my hand. So when he comes out, he will be a force to be reckoned with. He is a card, any card that is the east or the west that affects that entire region, in my opinion, is a prime target for beheading.
Yes. Speaking of beheading,
Speaking of beheading,
it's my turn.
it is your turn.
Let's flip this.
Do you have to have a bishop on the card to be hit?
No. All you have to do is target a card that is in that region. And some cards, I want to say Kizilbash, he's an Eastern card.
Mm-hmm.
He has Behead and he is in the East. So he can hit anyone in the East.
Scooch your beer
Here,
down
I'll
a
set
little
that
bit.
over here.
For my first trick, I'm going to purchase the Grand Inquisitor.
Okay.
And for my second trick, I'm going to play the Grand Inquisitor.
So that puts a bishop anywhere on a Portugal card.
Yep.
Which might only be...
I think
Actually,
it's
yeah,
just-
right now it's just him.
Which is fine. it doesn't give me the immediate benefit of the bishop, which is to silence other cards.
It also actually hurts you.
Yes.
Because it silences him.
Oh, yeah, you just silence.
Does that include that one shot?
So you would play the one shot before the card goes down.
Okay, great. So I'm going to do this Crusade one shot.
Okay.
We're going to go crusading in Portugal.
That's your MO, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going to Crusade in Portugal, and we're going to kill
a rook for a rook.
A rook for a rook. This will come back in no time with a trade fair, I'm sure. And Portugal
Goes Catholic.
Portugal was already Catholic, but now they've thrown off the shackles of the monarchy, and they've wholeheartedly embraced the theocracy of Portugal. So we've got theocratic Portugal here, and I get their king. He goes into my tableau.
Yep, that would be this sucker right here. Which I've said it in my opinion a couple times, but in my opinion, the Portugal king is the best king. That's not true. Second best. The Ottoman king, Mehmed, is the best. Mehmed. But Portugal is great because they offer a voyage prestige. Again, voyage is really rare. And in some games, if there just happens to be no voyage prestige cards in the Western deck, there's always Portugal, which means whoever holds Portugal is the one that can take that globalization victory and no one else can. So Portugal is very strong.
And that is my turn.
That's your turn. Okay, let's refresh these cards. Grand Inquisitor's gone.
Could you explain what this pirate icon is?
Sure, it places a Corsair on the map, and that is going to be it's the rook piece, the little cylinder. It goes in between cards, and it can only go in C zones.
Can we see that pirate icon? Where's that?
Let's. Why don't you show that card?
It's right there.
It's right here. The Genoese fleet. So this places one of these rooks, and it'll go in between two cards, but one of them has to be Aragon because that is printed here. So what that pirate will do, that Corsair, is it can destroy concessions. And so here, with this action, the Corsair action that this guy grants, he can use it to move that and any white pirate one space between cards. And he'll destroy concessions, which is very good, but he can also participate in some one-shots. I believe the Conspiracy and maybe the Peasant Revolt can use pirates. And those can be great. Then that can also, if someone is dominating with concessions, the pirate can just run roughshod over him.
Good explanation.
Yeah.
From somebody who's played PAX Premier and has not played this game, I have to say this is very similar.
There are similarities between all the PAX games. The PAX series is very bizarre. And while I'm talking, Brett, you can continue taking your turn if you want. But the PAX series is weird. It's almost not something I would call a series. There are 3 games that are kind of similar, and then 2 separate ones that are also sort of similar to each other. Porfiriana, Premier, and Renaissance are all somewhat similar games. They're all directly competitive. They all use either a literal map like in this or a virtual map like in Porfiriana. And they use cards and tableaus to do damage to other players. And maybe most significantly, they have like neutral factions or neutral units that the players all sort of influence. And they're all conflict-heavy games. And Emancipation and Transhumanity, which are the 2 most recent ones, they sort of use, Emancipation especially, uses sort of a cooperative element to it, whereas Transhumanity, which I haven't played, but Transhumanity also has shared incentives that are maybe stronger than stuff like in Pax Renaissance. So they all share some, I guess, loose ideas. There's like a marketplace to buy things from. But for the most part, they're actually, if you like one, you might not like another, and vice versa.
And then one more question, sorry.
Please.
I'm not seeing the Jihad one-shot on the sheet.
It is a religious war.
Okay.
Yeah. Jihad, Crusade, and Reformation are all religious wars. This is flavor text. So a Jihad functions exactly the same as a Crusade.
Does this one sheet come with the game?
It does not. It is something I printed off of Board Game Geek.
Can we see it?
Sure. Yeah. Daryl, if you want to take a look at this.
Well,
It looks like a super dense chunk of information, and
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
a lot of info.
It is a lot of info. It is also double-sided, but It is actually very, very helpful.
I'm going to buy the Ottoman Navy. Then I will play the Ottoman Navy in the east.
Cool.
I'll put a Corsair adjacent to the Ottoman.
Yep, anywhere next to the Ottoman Empire in a C zone, which in the case of the Ottomans is every adjacent card. If you put it in a place with a concession, it will kill the concession. So you could put it, not that I'm advising this because it's mine, but if you put it between the Ottomans and the Mamluks, it would destroy that concession straight away. Otherwise, if it moves into that zone with the concession, it will destroy it.
How would it move? Does it move along the...
It moves along C zones. So it never goes on a card, it's always adjacent to a card.
Are there other cards that move it?
Absolutely. If you look at the Genoese fleet and the Gold Coast Monopoly,
Also anything that's the
they're both white Corsairs as their action, and so those can move any single Corsair of that color. And for the Ottoman Navy, that will move any black cylinder.
All right. Sorry, Scott. You're... Dude,
Yeah, no, I understand you're stomping on me here, but I would do the same thing probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's
to
a
be
mean
clear,
game.
it also kills it. It doesn't repress it. And yes, all the PAX games that I've played anyway are kind of mean.
Yeah.
I made the Munchkin analogy earlier, and I don't think this game is that much like Munchkin, but it certainly has a take that mechanic to it or a system to it at times.
It sounds like you think it is exactly like
Right.
Munchkin.
I
The
feel
amount
like
you've
Phil
mentioned
Eklund ripped off Steve Jackson.
That was my 2. I bought the card. And then
So go ahead and refresh the Eastern market, and it is my turn. I'm still very poor, and I still need to focus on getting money, which I can't do as easily now because of the lack of concessions.
Right, now you have no concessions.
I have
which means
no
you're only paying
concessions.
other people.
Right. Now, I
would
could
trade.
still take the Eastern Trade Fair and get 1 florin, and no one else will get any.
That's true.
Just because there are no concessions in that route. Ah, geez. I have 1 florin on me. I feel like I want to use it to buy something. The Genoese fleet can make money because of its repress, or my existing Saninki Wangara card can commerce. You know what? I have the Podesta of Venice available to me now, though. He has the Commander of Venice Galleys passive ability, which allows him to perform a single trade fair action every turn at no action cost.
That's great.
So I'm going to do that first because, again, I'm the only one that's going to get money. So I'm going to do an Eastern Trade Fair, put 2 florins on that card. I'll take 1 for starting it. And it just loops from here right around to there with no levies getting placed and no money getting paid out because there's nothing to place. That's the free action. That didn't even cost me one of my 2 actions.
Amazing.
My next one is going to be, I think, now that I have 2, I might have to pick up my boy, the Safavids, who can behead in Byzantium, the Byzantium beheader. And he has an Inquisitor.
I set you up with that by taking the Ottoman Navy. That was my plan.
Yeah, no one really has cards in the East, though, right now. Yeah, you have the Ottoman Navy there. Is it worth spending my $2, though? You know what it's worth? It is worth spending an action playing one of my 2 cards. My favorite guy that I mentioned before, Schwarzerhaufen, is going to get played into my Western tableau. In doing so, we'll place I could place a knight out here, an Islamic knight, but I don't want to because it's full. I'd have to. Well, like a peasant revolt, I guess. But would I win anything out there with a peasant revolt? No, I guess the peasant revolt. No, I'm gonna play him and not peasant revolt. And then I'm going to, as my second action, because first is playing him, my second is going to be picking up for 1 florin the Crim Horde. I have an idea for making some money.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at as well.
And I hate that the Safavids are so cheap right now, because that is a very good card. They have a Jihad in Byzantium, which can usually be pretty easy to win, though considering all the levies placed, it might not be that easy. He places a bishop, though, and he can behead. And he can do a jihad. He has Islamic prestige.
Let's see this card.
Safavids offer quite a bit. The Safavids, Gem Anti-Hostage, and Kizilbash are 3 very good Eastern cards. If you're trying to be aggressive, they all can behead and they all can mess up the board.
See, I thought about taking him on the last go round, but he wouldn't win the religious war.
Sure.
I don't believe.
The one you played before,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would have been a draw, and so you wouldn't have won. Anyway, James, it is now your turn. Which, Brett, I know we've had our differences here. I know we've had our disagreements in this game.
I mean, yeah.
I want to say, right now, James over there, the Cure Bank, I think is who you are. Cure Bank of Alexandria. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. I think it is. Sierra Bank, maybe. He currently has 2 Catholic prestige hanging out over here. He's got the Grand Inquisitor, and he's got the Holy Land Crusade. He's got these 2 suckers. We don't have any Catholic prestige amongst us. Furthermore, the Papal States and Mamluk are the only theocracies. Oh, and Portugal are all theocracies for Catholicism. Mm-hmm. He has a bishop as well. Currently, the Catholics are the dominant religion, and James is their most favored patron.
Yeah, they love me.
They love him. Once in one of these markets, which at the rate we're going is going to be the Western one, once that comet comes up, if he can buy it and claim it in one turn, he'll just straight away win.
Sure.
So you and I need to worry right now about killing either his cards out here, getting rid of that bishop, or clearing some of these theocracies. I just want to I want to throw the olive branch your way and say we have a common enemy at this point. All right, just I want to be clear on that, because James, if again Comet was out, he could claim victory. Anyway.
Sorry. We should have
killed this, yes.
killed that. So Safavids is not even...
Safavids is...
Will be the new
they'll be the one. Yeah, it is easy to forget to flip that sometimes, unfortunately.
I believe on the back of these cards...
Yeah, where's Tom Russell to tell us how to play this game?
The back of the cards says...
It does.
Trade fair.
But I also don't even always look at that.
Right.
Like,
Chat's been fairly quiet, although Dorian Gray says discard a card after the trade route.
Yeah, that's this. That's this one.
Okay, so that's what he was on top of it. Thank you, Dorian.
Thank you, Dorian. Yeah, it's an easy thing to slip up on.
All right. Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
It's trade fair.
Oh.
I'm going to put 2 in there.
The Western Trade Fair is so filled up right now.
What's empty? Like nothing. Until we get to Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal is the only one that has
Granada.
lack of saturation.
We'll get...
Because you have your Crusade.
Yep. We had a nice Reconquista here. Brett gets...
If we just both get a coin.
Mm-hmm.
You would get one for that. James got one for Poland. That's it.
Then we discard the card.
And then we discard that card.
Yep. Goodbye, anti-pope. So a lot of, I said earlier, there were a lot of Reformationists out there.
That doesn't go
They
away
have
just
been
yet,
discarded.
though, because I have...
Oh, you still have an action. You still have an action. Okay. Yep.
In this case, I don't want that particular card, but... and it would have made it easier for me if this was a little cheaper, but I'm just going to buy that.
Okay. So, this all slides. A very wealthy Western trade fair still.
Yes.
The West is, and yeah, I guess they're just outputting a lot of desirable
We've got a
goods.
lot of queens out right now.
There's one.
There are...
Oh, there's 2. You're right. Yeah, and Brittany.
3 out.
Yeah. Okay.
Point those out again.
So we've got
Anne of Brittany, Isabel of Castile,
those are the 2 Western
And-
ones.
Siti Hatun of Dulkadir.
Yep.
Okay.
Those 3. And queens are also a way to get kings into your tableau. In fact, you automatically do. Once you play a queen, she brings a king with her, assuming it's still available out in the stack.
And largely, queens also give you prestige.
Yes, they do.
Anne of Brittany happens to give you
Siege.
siege ability and no prestige. But
Correct.
And the coronation one-shot only applies to the kings out in the stack, right?
Correct. You do not
Can't
take them from
marry-
another player.
yeah.
You only take them if they are in the regime stack out of the game, which these are out of the game. All right, Brett.
So I will spend 2 to buy this guy, or queen, per se, and then I will play it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what does it matter what part of the?
Yeah.
The queen will tell you which side. It'll say, well, it's with the king you take, I should say.
I'll take the Ottoman.
Okay, so you take Sultan Mehmed, the Conqueror, and it goes in there like a cross. So the king will go sort of in the middle, so you can still see the prestige up top and the action on the bottom. Well, she doesn't have an action, I guess, so. And then, he goes in the east, and you immediately get to play a concession into the map, adjacent to the Ottomans. So right now, really, this would be your most significant action. Though again, you could go here as a protectorate.
Mm-hmm.
Won't get taken that easily.
All right, that was my 2 things.
Okay, go ahead and refresh the market. Gem anti-hostage. It makes a decent idea, but if I had the money, I might buy him. Speaking of money.
Refresh the Arctic market.
Speaking of money, I am going to play the Crim Horde into my tableau down here, which is going to give me a concession next to Byzantium, so right there. And then I am going to take the Eastern Ops action. So I get to perform an action on both of these guys. And commerce is my only option here. So flip her upside down to show that I've done that. Commerce is just going to get me a buck from the Eastern. And then the Crim Horde, I can either repress or do commerce again. If I repress, I can repress a concession in Byzantium. And I think I'm going to do that. And I get a buck for it. So I'm going to repress that. So you want to go ahead and repress that to Byzantium if that's anywhere, which it's not. And I get $1 from the bank for doing so. And those are my 2 actions. Purchase him, or play him, and then
Great.
do the ops. Go ahead, James.
All right. I will. Let's see. I don't love how many cards are out here. You know what? Okay, so I'm going to play. I'm gonna slide everything down a little bit here.
A little bit of tableau management.
A little bit of
is what you
tableau
need.
management.
Thank you. I saw it, Brett. You put a little thing there. Thank you for putting that down to show the delineation.
I'm the fence man.
Fence man.
All right, I'm going to play this Gold Coast Monopoly. Let's me place a. But I have to. If I do this, I have to pay Brad.
Yes,
right?
you have to repress that concession.
Don't be greedy now.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of playing this, I'm going to do a Western Tableau op. I'm going to tax this.
Okay. So now, Brett, you must either pay 1 florin to keep it or repress that. Actually, you know what? You can't tax it because it's saturated.
Yeah.
Right.
It's got
but
to be.
Portugal.
Yes, Portugal is legit.
Portugal isn't. So.
And you're able to? Oh, you tax the West.
Yep.
Yep. So Portugal would get this guy here, but Brett, you have a choice: repress or pay.
If I take the repression, I get to choose the unit out there.
You get to choose the unit regardless.
Hmm.
Yeah, your choice is just if you're going to keep an extra florin or not.
I can just get it back next go.
Great. Let's see.
And I choose the unit that goes out there, and I don't have to respect the color.
You do have to respect this. So you get to choose the printed one that goes out, which right now is only this Catholic Rook. So yes, you do get to choose, but you have very limited choices.
Taxing isn't super useful for me here. I need to move this guy with the Inquisitor. Does anyone else have Portugal now?
No.
Okay, and the West.
I do have the West actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Schwarzerhaufen is the West.
All right, put this guy on
Old Schwartz.
Old Schwarzer. I could campaign in Portugal, but I'm not going to. Okay, and then finally, I'll play Gold Coast Monopoly. I'll pay Brett. No, this goes to the bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to. Oh, that's. No, this is fine because it's.
You're not taxing. You're placing a new unit, right?
And this goes on Henry the Navigator.
Yep. Now.
Hold on, can we get a reach? Where were you reaching just now, Jimmy?
Where was I reaching?
Yeah, when you reached.
Okay,
Reach
so-
over. No, just do the action, because then, can I see that sweet bunny tattoo? Just rack focus to that bunny tattoo. So reach over there.
Right.
Yeah, and then let's see it. Oh,
So
yeah.
I removed
That
Brett's
tattoo.
concession.
That goes
Put
to
it-
the bank.
The
money goes to the bank.
money goes to the bank.
That's
It goes
James's
to,
bunny trouble.
Henry the Navigator and the Gold Coast Monopoly goes right there.
Okay. Now, I want to point out that Schwarzerhaufen, he fights under the motto Nulla Crux, Nulla Corona. Just want you to know that.
Good to know.
Remember next time that bishop comes here.
Okay.
That's the motto.
Well, the
I
bishop's
fight under.
staying there.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know you could do that.
This guy actually hates he hates everything except the emperor. Dude, I'm coming for you. Once this bishop is gone, you better believe.
Yeah, that checks out. I'm a little concerned.
Your go, Brett.
Yep.
What are you considering, Brett? What's your thought process?
Could tax Aragon.
You can't. Actually, right now,
Oh, because it's saturated?
I don't know if anything on this map is taxable.
Yep.
Because every single city has something on it.
Yeah.
And to
you
tax,
need some
you have to have
violence
an open.
first. That's-
This has been a relatively passive game, except for a couple of Crusades.
early on.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of where things like campaigning or whatever can be useful. You don't need to win to use some of these things, you know, like you can make some room in places or
Sure. Yeah, I'm worried about getting rid of your Catholics right now. But I'm trying to see what's out here that would let me do that. I was
So-
gonna destroy some dudes in the west, but Islam has to step it up. Is what needs to happen.
So if I did a Eastern tableau op, the Navy could repress. I assume that's the adjacent, only the adjacent areas.
adjacent to the Ottoman.
Because you repress specifically pawns,
Mm-hmm.
so it would be adjacent pawns to the Ottomans. So it would be this one.
Right.
Which is yours, which you don't want.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean sometimes
Well,
you
you
do,
could want,
but it's
In this case, you don't.
the time when it would be useful is if for maybe peasant revolts, but I mean that's gonna be used in the peasant revolt anyway, I guess. So
Mm-hmm.
no, usually you don't want to repress your own dudes.
Sure. And the campaign requires money, which I have little of.
Yeah, this has been an impoverished game, certainly.
Yeah, I've this is the richest I've been. I think at 3.
One more than your starting wealth.
There's no open stuff anywhere, so we need to kill some dudes.
Yes, we need to kill Catholics specifically in Mamluk, the Papal States, and Portugal.
Sure. So I'll do an Eastern tableau op, and I can just not do anything with the.
Sure.
Right, you don't.
Because this would be an illegal move, right?
No, that's legal, but I don't know why you're focusing on me so much.
Well, no, I'm just saying that would be the only. I can't repress anything and moving it any other.
Sure.
I don't want to kill my own concession.
Of course,
That'd be
yeah.
idiotic.
Right. That you may take an action on a card. You don't need to.
Correct. So
So
yes, you would get Crusade or campaign rather from Sultan Mehmed.
Right, and we can only do that in.
It's from the Ottomans to an adjacent state.
Which that can be diagonally adjacent, correct?
Mm-hmm. And so you could attack the Papal States as well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these two
Mm-hmm.
are Catholic theocracies, which he is very close to. I mean, he has right now. Again, if he is able to claim holy victory when a comet comes out and he buys it, he wins. And flipping some of these away and getting Islamic dominance is going to be the way to change that. We're going to need religious wars as well as just killing some of his units.
Mm-hmm. So, I will. I pay a florence per night. I think.
One florin per you have to pay for every night. It does not matter the color. Also.
Oh, for every night involved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have enough money then.
For every night there.
You just pay the ones
Right.
there. I thought it was all the one. I mean, it says on that little cheat sheet.
Yeah.
but-
Pay one for every night at King's location.
Okay, so you'd pay 2.
Right.
All right, so I can afford to. This goes to the bank.
Yep.
And the Ottoman is going to attack Byzantium. But it's 2 nights,
Okay.
so that just blows up.
So it would be because the adjacent guys fight too, or is it just the ones there?
It's just. Yeah, a campaign is the location that you're campaigning from and the adjacent
Would
location.
you like to
That's
see
it.
the cheat sheet?
It is right. Just from there. You're right.
Right. So
Um,
he won't win with
no.
this, but he will be able to take out.
So because these 2 would die, and then 2 of these would die, but 1 would remain. So the
No,
campaign.
He's just. Oh, yeah. There are 2.
Yeah, he said
Never
Byzantium.
mind. Yep.
Yeah, there are 3 guys he would fight.
Yeah, sure. So we kill off any 2 units on Byzantium.
Yep, in exchange for those 2 knights.
And I don't want to give Jimmy any money because he killed my concession there.
Now, out of curiosity, what was your rationale for attacking Byzantium?
I have a conspiracy card.
Oh,
for
yes, you want to
Byzantium.
flip it. Okay.
While you consider, I'd like to point out that this beer you got, Brett, is really good.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, is it?
I bought it pretty randomly.
It's pretty
Can
good.
you pass it?
Original Reaper.
You want one?
Yeah. Here, I'll get it. I got it.
No, I got it.
I'll
It's all
run the
good.
Western trade route.
More money to the Western.
I
Front.
get one. I think you get one, Scott.
Hold on, I gotta go to the board.
I get another one,
Things
and
are
Jimmy
happening.
gets 2.
You do get 2.
Jimmy gets. Where do you get 2?
He has 2
From the
concessions out
Western.
there.
Oh,
Right.
your
Yep.
arm was blocking that. Yep, you are correct. So yeah, Brett gets 2, I get 1, James gets 2.
Thank you.
And then it's my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, this cycles.
Yeah, thanks, boss.
And if Brittany gets a little cheaper. And out comes a comet. A comet appears.
It's very
The
beautiful.
Pope excommunicates Halley's Comet of 1456. So Jimmy could purchase that and win. However, he only has 2 florins, and this currently costs 5.
I'm Haley. The comet's Hallie.
Halley Comets. Thank you, Haley. My beautiful wife. Halley's Comet. All right.
Yeah, Hallie's comment is my wife.
All right. Let's go ahead and try to do some bad business here. I need to get rid of this guy so I can siege in the west a little bit. I also would like Anne of Brittany because she can get me France, England, Aragon, and the HRE.
Let's see here while you consider.
Anne of Brittany.
Show me her. You lift it up a little bit. Yeah.
Cromwell's an option as well because he can reform England and he comes with 2 knights, which wouldn't be enough to successfully flip it, but it is enough if I can kill one of these first.
Oh, when I ran the Western trade route, we would have put a dude here.
Oh, true.
And,
In Trebizond. You're right.
And a knight in Constantinople.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so go ahead and place those.
So,
But it has to match what's on the printed on the board.
Correct.
right, but you can choose. It can
One of
be
those 2.
Trebizond or Kaffa.
Yep. And then you get to choose there as well down in the Ottomans, but Constantinople
Right,
has
is the
2
only
open.
thing.
So. Jeez Louise. Okay. Part of me wants to get Anne of Brittany so I can pick up a king. Because kings are very useful. But Cromwell is no joke either. Because he can flip this to Reformation and it's not too hard. He couldn't do it now, but I think I could skew things in that direction. Grande of Spain. Gem anti-hostage. I think I'd be a fool not to get a king right now, though. So I'm going to go ahead and buy Anne of Brittany. And then I will... Give me some more money if I do the Eastern trade ops. No, I'm going to play Anne of Brittany. I'm playing Anne of Brittany, and I am going to take... There's a lot of rooks out in the HRE right now. Aragon's got a knight. Aragon might end up being useful, though, later if I go campaigning. I'm going to take France. I'm going to take France. Louis IX. So I've got France, and I get a concession with that adjacent to France, which is going to have to go right here.
That's 11.
You're right, I was looking at it upside down initially. Louis XI. Okay, and that's my turn. Let's go ahead and refresh this market.
Ooh, fantastic.
And that's a cheap old Cromwell right now, and a cheaper Comet.
That's great. That's beautiful.
House
because
of Berga comes out.
I'm going to go ahead
Borgia.
and...
Oh, and this went away. We lost... Or no,
Yeah,
it's
now he's
mine.
going to be able to for the comment this time.
Yeah. Now I'm going to do a a Western trade ops. So
Okay.
let me reach past you here. I'm going to plop 2 of these bad boys down. I'm going to take one for myself. I'm going to put, you know him, you love him, the Catholic Knight back here. We're going to put Constantinople boy right here. And Brett will take $1 from the trade fair.
I get $1 from that one too.
Oh, yeah. That's new. Nobody gets anything until I get a 1 and 2.
I get a second one.
And you get a second one.
Okay. You buying
Alright.
that comet, bud?
I'm going to buy that comet.
Buy away.
A 1, a 2, 3, 4.
Okay. So, you are, I expect, activating the Holy Victory.
Yes. I'll be activating the East-West Schism.
Which now activates the Holy Victory.
Right.
Now,
and we discard this comet. Correct?
and that is discarded immediately.
Okay.
So you do not win the game yet, but for all of us now, Holy Victory is able to be claimed.
Mm-hmm. And all I have to do is take the claim victory action.
That is
if it
correct.
true.
Claim victory, and you got it.
Right.
What does this mean? So the Holy Victory, like, what do you just like? What does that entail?
So when a comet is in the market and someone buys it, they pick one of the 4 victory conditions to activate. James picked the Holy Victory. What that means is if he has more prestige in the dominant religion over all the other players, he can take the victory action, which is just an action you take on your turn, claiming that card and winning the game. Now, Holy Victory, like I said, requires a dominant religion. That means that one religion has more bishops on the map and more units in their theocracies than any other religion. The other religions are Reformist and Islamic. Right now, there are 3 theocracies: Portugal, Papal States, and Mamluk. Within those, there are a bunch of Catholic units. At the moment, no other religion has a theocracy at all, so they, by default, don't have more units in their theocracies than the Catholics. So as it stands, Jimmy qualifies for that victory condition, because there's 1 bishop as well on Schwarzerhofen. But I suspect that is not going to remain.
Right. Yeah, if other bishops come into place, or I lose that bishop, or...
Which I can sell this card, which gets rid of the bishop.
Yeah.
And if Brett doesn't do anything to change the state of the board in that time, which I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, then I will be selling Schwarzerhofen, unfortunately. Sure. The reason I didn't sell Schwarzerhofen before, to just kind of call that right away, is because I knew you didn't have enough money to straight away buy that comet.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to take an action to get money and then buy it.
Right.
Which means you couldn't claim victory, which gave me a little bit of a buffer time to buy something else.
Absolutely.
Now, it's going to be at least a couple turns for you to get to a position to claim that victory, because you don't have any cards in your hand, right?
Right.
So you're going to have to buy something that gives a Catholic bishop, like the House of Borgia.
Or the Jesuits.
Or the Jesuits, both very expensive at the moment.
Right.
And then get it out there and then claim victory. So that's 1 full turn of purchasing a card and then playing it before it then gets back to you to then claim victory.
Right.
So I'm hoping in that time we can do some stuff to change the map.
Well, I'm very annoyed that Jimmy took the trade route action and put a white knight in Byzantium.
Mm-hmm. Loaded it up
That's
a little
where
bit.
that's where he lives. Sorry.
So, it's not a whole lot I can do to change the religious war state.
Make Scott do it. What's that? Yeah, so right now what we need to do as non-Catholics is get an Islamic state or a reformist state into play and try to load it up with some units. Conversely, we could try to do conspiracies on Portugal, Papal States, or Mamluk. And there's this Papal State conspiracy out there. This one I don't believe would succeed because it uses peasants and repressed cards, or repressed units on the Papal States card. So right now it'd be this versus this.
Mm-hmm.
And that would just be a draw. You need a lasting unit to flip this back over. In Mamluk, is there any Mamluk conspiracy available? I see Byzantium and Ottoman, but no Mamluk. So that's Mamluk's gonna be a little harder to flip at the moment because we need a jihad. Actually, I guess just a jihad in either of these, because conspiracy flips it to the non-theocratic side.
They
and those who
certainly
don't have
exist out
theocratics.
there.
100% they do.
And you never flip these on the map unless it's a religious war, right? Or conspiracies flip it back.
Conspiracies flip it back. I was sort of speaking on a turn there because a conspiracy would not flip the papal states. Because
The papal
it
states
only has
a
theocracies on both
right?
sides.
And same with Mamluk, actually.
Correct. So we need religious wars. We need specifically jihads to flip the papal states and Mamluk, which again they exist.
Right.
In the meantime,
but a conspiracy could benefit you all in Portugal.
It would, yes. A conspiracy would benefit Portugal, and not buying cards in the West is kind of key right now too.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
that's going to shift these bishops down. So the West, as far as I'm concerned, is off limits because we don't want those cheaper. So James will be forced to purchase these cards, which I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll buy Isabel of Castile.
Certainly
Sure.
possible.
So I'm going to do a Western tableau op, and I'm going to tax Aragon. I'm going to tax... no, I
Yes, you
can't.
can't. They're saturated.
Yeah.
Well, not in a good spot here.
No, like I said, we need I've got a couple ideas right now. I know what I'm doing on my turn, but it's going to take a moment to, I think, to fully see it through.
I forget that you could just sell a card and get rid of.
Yeah,
In hindsight, I should have done Inquisition and moved it somewhere better. Like one of my cards.
Sure. The one advantage of putting something on your cards, leaving a bishop there, is it protects it from selling.
Does
Yeah, like he would be fine to hang out on Headrid Navigator.
Yeah, what's the question you have?
conspiracy? You have to pay the knights.
No.
No.
Campaign is the only thing you pay.
All right, so I'm going to. Well, I wouldn't have anything leaving, because when you do a campaign, they fight each other and they both die,
Yes.
and you have to have something live.
Yes.
Right. Again, it can be a good way to clear out some guys, but
That just feeds you more money. Can't do that. This kind of sucks.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have in your tableau right now? Because you took.
All I have really, I can't tax or repress an Aragon.
You can repress an Aragon.
Oh, because that's
Repress this.
yep, you can repress that. You actually get $1 for it.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, I will repress.
Okay, so you're taking Western ops.
Are you gonna pay $1 to unrepress
No,
it?
That's not a
repressing
choice.
doesn't. Yeah, I don't get the choice. It just goes.
It goes onto the Portugal card.
Does it?
Yeah, when you repress something, it goes onto the.
But this is. Aragon.
He's an Aragon. You're right. He's an Aragon. So yes, we're going to the Aragon card, which is not out there right now. So
I just.
it just goes back.
So I take $1 from the bank.
Yep.
Where does this money?
This was meant to be discarded earlier. Should remain on there.
We need more units.
We need non-Catholics here, basically.
So I guess I'll spend $2 to campaign in Ottoman again, and we can. So this would be a 1-for-1 trade.
It would, yes. Yep. And then you would take the Papal States. Pope Julius II into your hand. It actually becomes a vassal of Mehmed.
Why do I take this?
Because you campaigned into the Papal States and you killed everything there, so it causes a regime change.
Oh.
So you then take that and he becomes a vassal of Mehmed. So he doesn't go in your hand, he goes underneath Mehmed.
Cool. So that was my two things I did, both the East and Western tableau ops.
Sure. Were you going to repress any Ottomans around? No, you only have your guy there.
Yeah, I'm
so
not gonna repress myself.
that king goes and he's a vassal of Mehmed.
Yeah, so you play him right away.
Oh, so he goes in the west.
He goes underneath Mehmed.
But his action shows up.
Well, just stick him like it kind of makes a vertical row.
Physically
Yeah.
lower.
And then in playing him, you still get the concession
Sweet.
next to the Papal States. I have to be here.
Oh, you're right.
All right. On my turn, I'm going to sell Schweizerhofen.
Great.
He's gone. I get $2 for it, and this bishop goes away.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace, Schwarzerhaufen, and the bishop. Then, because I don't want to be purchasing anything in the west, and I want to start getting some bad business going down elsewhere, I am going to have to, I think, campaign over with this fella. Actually, I could siege as well, but I don't need a siege at the moment. So I am going to march into England from France. I'm going to pay my £2. I guess why did I say pounds? Florins. And march from France into England. That's 3.
Sorry, did they go into that trade fair?
I meant to put them in this stack. They were kind of close together.
Build
I'm
fence.
marching these 3 guys from France. I paid all 3 into here,
Mm-hmm.
and it will kill these 2 as well as these 2, and that gets me the crown of England. I'll then place this right there, and those go back. So now Catholicism is no longer the dominant religion because there's no bishop, and you need bishops.
Right.
And that's my turn. James, go ahead.
What does the Crown of England do for you?
It is King Edward IV, which is just another king card. And king cards are these horizontal ones. They really offer a concession when you play them, as well as the campaign action. And the campaign action is what allowed me to march all those knights and go attack England.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of an expensive but reliable way to go attack places, and it is a good way to add concessions to the map. Furthermore, there's a victory condition that has to do with kings. And actually their other side, which is republics, there's also a victory condition tied to those.
Mm-hmm.
And to get republics, you have to cause a regime change in an empire that you have in your control.
With a vote, which is...
They're actually any regime change can cause it to flip.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Um,
Voting is one way.
voting is how you do
Voting is a
things that
way.
you own, right?
Voting is a way to take regimes from other players too.
There we go.
You can only vote on empires that are in other people's stacks. So you cannot vote on an empire that's out here. It has to be in play.
All right. I'm going to take a Western tableau up. I'm going to tax in the west, and I'm going to tax Scott right here.
Okay. Which card are you playing it on? Anywhere in the west?
It is the west, so I guess France.
Okay. I like my concessions,
Okay.
so I'm going to spend $5.
And you don't pay those to me for taxing?
Oh yeah, yes. There you go. And that's going to have to be, I guess, that guy right there. On Leon.
You just give me $1, right?
I give you 2. You tax those guys in France.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yep. So go ahead. Oops. And place the levies here. Or I think you just place a levy. So place it in Leon.
I'll do it.
More knights for me to campaign with.
Yep. I will do nothing in Mamluk unless my siege action can get rid of pirates.
Siege can. If you look on the siege the little icon on the card itself, it shows pirates.
Oh, yeah.
It can hit rooks,
Yep,
it can hit knights, and it can hit pirates.
So I'll get rid of this pirate.
Okay.
I could tax in, I can't tax in Portugal. I could behead
Behead in Portugal, which would just really be
my cards.
Now it's just your
unless someone
cards.
has the west.
I do not.
Right.
Oh,
So I could behead my own cards, which I won't do.
you could.
I can campaign. And that might be the ticket. So if I campaign... No, because then I have to pay money. I won't do that. I will take the commerce action for the West. And I will take $1 off of Cromwell with this commerce action.
Who has a vote within you? Anyone?
I don't have
You
vote,
don't
but
vote.
this
Oh,
Crimean
that character does.
guts.
Okay.
And then for my second action, I'll buy the House of Borgia.
Got all that money. Okay.
Let's see that card.
House
Hold
of
that up
Borgia.
for
Where's
us.
it
So, all right. So your next turn is going to be playing that and claiming victory.
Correct.
Whoa, that's
So
big.
let's see what can be done before then. It is your turn, Brett. We need to cycle these out.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So much Catholic
Yeah.
prestige. There is
Well, it is
so
the
much in
Western
this game.
deck, which is heavy on that anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, there's
Because you have two.
mm-hmm.
There's Isabel of Castile,
Mhm.
Jesuits, and Order of Santiago
Mhm.
available at the moment. And then Brett, you have the Pope Julius II, who always has that prestige.
Mm-hmm.
I had a card before that had some that I actually no, I didn't buy it. I considered buying it, but yeah, this has been a Catholic prestige heavy game,
that is correct.
and you grabbed a lot of it, which was
Is James about to win?
he might well
Uh,
be.
It's looking, is
we'll
it looking
see.
good?
Yeah.
There are one,
We'll see what happens when it gets to my
3,
turn.
4, 5 Catholic units on the cards. Is that correct?
Yeah. There are 5.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. Nothing in the Papal States.
Right.
But what we need, I mean, so here's the way we could counter this right now. Because he has a card in his hand to play a bishop.
Mm-hmm.
On his turn, he's going to play that card, which gives him a bishop, which
Right.
makes Catholicism dominant. And then he's going to use his second action to claim that victory card.
Right.
The way we can stop Catholicism from being dominant is if we can make one of the religions have more, or not even one of the religions, the other two religions, have more units in their theocracies than Catholics.
Yep.
That's hard right now. Because there are no,
there are no other
there are no
theocracies.
others at the moment.
Where can you campaign?
Any adjacent card, diagonal or orthogonal.
Specifically, where can you campaign?
Anywhere around France. The problem is, well, I can't kill all of these. I can kill 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. I can get 2 guys in an Islamic state, I think. But the
You
problem is he
could
has
create an
5.
Islamic state.
I believe so.
Do you have a religious? That you'd have to have a religious war to do that.
I do have a religious word
Okay.
to do that.
So if you can create an Islamic state somewhere, I can kill 2 of these.
Actually, no, I don't have enough actions. I need 3 actions to do that.
Let me see here, because what's on the map at the moment? We've got no religious wars that would really benefit us. I guess Cromwell.
No, I could do it.
Cromwell in England, which has actually Cromwell in England
Mm-hmm.
would flip this to reformist with 2 knights in it.
So does it have to have more than both theocracies combined?
Yes.
Or?
So
Yes.
Catholics have to have more than Islam and reformists put together.
Okay. So I think that would work. So,
As long as England doesn't get anything added to it by the time it's Jimmy's turn, which if you don't play anything, I'm not going to be. Buying and playing Cromwell will add 2 knights to a reformist theology.
I think I could spend $1 to campaign in Ottoman and kill these 2 guys. And I can play the Black Sheep Tribe, which immediately puts a black knight in Byzantium,
Mm-hmm.
and then does a conspiracy in that region,
So the conspiracy
which would kill these 2 would kill each other, right?
Conspiracy is going to use maps from the card, maps on the empire. Units on the card,
Mhm.
units on the empire card, pawns adjacent to it, and it will fight everything on the card. So it is going to be this and this versus these 2. So it's going to be a push.
Because of your
Because does anyone have Byzantium, and is there anything on it? No.
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 Mhm.
Byzantium is
because of your stupid
soil.
concession that I didn't kill.
No, but the concession helps you here. The concession fights with you. They're all about conspiracies.
Oh, then why are you saying it'd be a push?
Because it's 2 versus 2.
Yeah, with a conspiracy, the color of the unit doesn't matter. It's what's on the card already versus what's on the card you were playing.
Correct. It's the stuff on the map versus concessions and what you're playing. So it's 2v2, which means nothing goes. Now,
Well, why would the 2 Islam people fight each other?
it doesn't matter. This isn't a religious war. It has to do with like government conspiracy.
You're in politics.
Yeah. So the only time the color of the piece matters, which is one of the more like immediately confusing things about the game, the color of the piece only matters for one action, and it is religious war. Nothing else takes into account color of the piece. At least in terms of actions you're doing. For the holy victory, it does.
Well, all right, so I can't flip this card then. So I don't think we can
So,
stop Jimmy from winning.
Because we can add 2 here, which is going to be 5 for the Papal States. That's 5 versus 2, which is he has 3 more than the rest.
I could kill. No, I could only kill 1 guy. There's only 1 knight there.
And yeah, I have to buy this and play it in order to make that work.
mean, I guess I could buy it and play it, but then you don't have any money to campaign in enough
Well,
places.
I have money. If you bought it and played it, well, you already took an action. You could. I mean, I would say you can undo this conspiracy, but you took your first already, didn't you? Did you take one action before
You
this?
campaigned.
You campaigned.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you've done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
please-
right.
please
That's
put
right.
this down,
That's
but-
right. You campaigned. You put that down.
I don't think it helps advance the board state against Catholics.
So if you marched into there, there's only one knight here. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So that one knight could kill something in Mamluk.
Sure.
Then they have 1 there, plus 3 here is 4. Or if you bought and played instead, it would turn this, which is then 2 reformists against 5 Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
I can then march from France over to here as an action. I don't have the money though to then also march England. I was gonna say I could march both, but I can't do both. I can do 1, which would knock it from 5 versus 2 to 3 versus 2. Still has the majority. So, is there any bishop out there right now that's not Catholic?
No.
There's not any bishop that's not Catholic at the moment.
Right, that would be the easy.
That's the most straightforward one.
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah, I don't think there's really.
Yeah, this is a tough spot right now.
Don't think we can.
You grab
How
this
did-
Catholic.
How did Jimmy get to this spot?
He
where you
picked up
just can't-
Catholic prestige
just can't
early, and I mean that's the other thing is he has the most Catholic prestige. I didn't have the cash to grab more. And how much more do you need? You need just any amount more than
How
other
much
players?
Catholic- amount more.
How much Catholic prestige do you have?
He has
I
2.
have 2.
You have 1. So I guess if you bought this, because that would give you 2 to his 2, so you're tied. He no longer has the most. I forgot that you had the Pope.
Right. Well, he has to buy it and play it.
That's true. So that would have been his whole turn,
Right.
buying and playing. I think that would be the only out.
Right.
Is if that was your whole turn instead of what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm typically a proponent of backing off on turns if nothing else has happened.
I am as much as I don't want Brett to tie me on prestige. I'm certainly not going to be a stickler for it.
Though the bishop you have might give you prestige. I don't
Right.
remember who you bought.
Does not
Okay.
actually for the. In
So
the
I would
interest of
get $1
fairness.
back from the bank.
It gives me patron prestige.
This guy would be swapped with that guy,
Though I guess you need 3 to. No, you need 2 to buy this. So yes,
and then
you don't have this guy out.
yeah, this guy goes back to my hand. And this guy gets played
So-
in.
Buy and play in the west.
Control Z, Control Z.
Yeah, we're control Zing until it moves here. Again, when it comes to games, I'm almost always a proponent of undoing stuff
Is
if
HRE
no
available?
new information has been
Right, I
revealed,
agree.
no new cards have been drawn, there are no dice to roll.
Holy Roman Empire
Yeah, get the HRE.
in the west.
Yep.
And that puts a concession out by the Holy Roman Empire.
So you can go here, here, or here. If you go here, you have to pay a florin to repress that. Which you could well do. I wouldn't appreciate it personally, but if that's the angle you're going for, you're spending half your florins.
Sure. But I will do that.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you have the HRE, so this gets repressed.
Alright, those are 2 things.
Okay, so these all slip on down. And now it's my turn. So I think I'm going to buy this and play it. It's going to flip England, which is fine. It's going to start working reformists up, which I guess is also okay. So I'm going to spend 1 florin to take these 2. Take Cromwell into my hand. My boy Cromwell is then getting played into the west. And he is going to do the Reformation. If I could get 2 Reformist Knights, James, I would appreciate that.
Of course.
I know as the principal Catholic flag waver here, you love the Reformation.
Yeah, these things happen.
And they're going to go in England, and they're going to reform England. They're going to fight all the units here, all the heretics, of which there are none, so they succeed. And, actually, hold on. Religious wars do need to kill heretics.
That might be right.
And there are no heretics there. So I won't do that.
Can't just
instead,
have a religious war in an empty
That's true.
place
You-
that nobody cares.
you are correct, Mike. So instead, let me put these back. 1 will go there, 2 come out of my bank. And I should have 1 still.
Control Z, Control Z.
All right. So what I'm going to do instead is purchase. I need to add a heretic there, and to do that, I'm going to need to do a trade fair or play a card that adds something. All right, I'm uncontrol Z. Control is a Control Shift Z. I'm gonna buy this,
Control
but
Shift
not
Z.
play it. I'm then gonna play Kingmaker in England, which adds a pair of Catholic rooks.
You could have just ran the Western Trade Route.
Yeah, I could have, but I'm going to place these in here instead. And those are my 2 actions. So I like some of the things he has. So I have a plan. I have an idea. And all these slide down. Go ahead, James.
Great. I think this is the
And there's
move.
Mary the Rich.
I'm gonna play House of Borgia.
Look at that giant Western tableau.
Yeah, I know. Right, and I just have the Mamluk king over here. Okay, so it places a Catholic bishop, which is great. That's what I want.
You've patron prestige.
It also lets me do a conspiracy in the West.
That's true.
I'd like to do a conspiracy in the Papal States.
Okay.
I'm using these 2 conspirators.
Okay. Go ahead.
There's nothing for them to kill, but unlike
Unlike a religious war.
a religious war, they don't need anything
That's
to
right.
kill.
That's correct.
So their conspiracy, I believe, is just successful.
Yep.
Which calls for a regime change,
Yes, it does.
which gives me the Pope,
Whoa.
and then with my second action, I'm
Big
going to claim
move.
victory.
Because you have.
There he is.
Oh, because that added enough religious prestige.
Yes, and takes it away from Brett.
I believe that checks.
We can triple check the rules.
Yeah, because I don't think there's anything that stops you from taking a vassal.
You
Right.
snagged the Pope, so it sounds like.
Yeah, I hired some
think
that's
dudes
the
to
move.
kidnap the Pope.
I think the risk of vassalage is if you kill the head of it, the Caesarian,
Right.
all the vassals go
Right,
away too.
right.
But there's no advantage to being a vassal, so far
I
as
believe
I know.
that is correct.
Yeah. So your first action was remind me. Is doing
Play
the
House of
conspiracy.
Borgia.
I've
which
got
lets me do
a
the
comment here
Please.
that I don't understand, but
Okay,
maybe
ask
you
away.
guys will. So the comment from Dr. Mabuse
Yes.
says conspiracy action uses agent on card, pirates bordering the target, and repressed rooks and knights not concessions.
Okay. Not
So
concessions.
conspiracy action uses the agent on the card,
Oh, you're
comma,
right. You're right. It
pirates
uses repressed.
bordering the target and repressed rooks,
You're right.
and knights not concessions.
You're right. That's
right.
what I was confusing about.
Take
Concessions. He says concessions and repressed serfs only attack during a
Peasant revolt. Yep.
All right, take your Pope back.
You're right. I was confusing this iconography over here.
Fine.
Thank you for that tip.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mabuse.
That was a good idea, though, James.
Yeah.
The doctor is in.
That was a good idea,
Doctor
James.
is in. Okay.
Kidnapping
Well, in
the
that
Pope.
case-
Kidnapping the Pope was a
Right.
good idea on paper. It got most of the way to production, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't quite make it. When someone said, "That's actually illegal," now that I think
you
about
can't
it,
just kidnap the Pope.
kidnapping the Pope is illegal.
Right.
I think it should be legal.
This sounds like the new National Treasure movie that needs to
Yeah.
happen, though.
Who does
Nicolas Cage kidnaps the Pope.
Or does he play the Pope?
Both. I think Nicolas Cage both
Kidnaps
plays the Pope
himself.
and kidnaps the Pope.
Yeah.
He finds out that the Pope is a twin of himself.
This is a real like Eddie Murphy, Nutty Professor sort of situation,
No, it's very serious.
or
It's
more
national
like
treasure.
more like a Medea's family reunion type situation.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he wears a wig.
yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of Tyler Perry, it is Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage is the Pope and himself.
All right.
The Pope
Have
goes
they
to
ever
jail.
done a movie together? Nick Cage and Tyler Perry?
This is the opportunity, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, no, but this
Possibly.
is the time.
I
Yeah.
feel like combined they've been in like a fifth of all movies, so they should.
Yeah, it's instead of
Collide
6
at some
degrees
point.
of Kevin Bacon, it should be 3 degrees of Nicolas Cage or Tyler Perry.
I'll just do the Western trade.
I'm just
fair.
waiting for the person on YouTube to be like Tyler Perry fan number one. And just like
Yeah. How dare you talk bad about Tyler Perry? I mean, we're not
All
talking
this
bad.
stuff is so full.
We're saying he should be the Pope.
Dude,
maybe?
Tyler Perry, though,
The Papal
is
States
legit.
gets that.
That man became a millionaire off of those movies, and I am impressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Brett, you get 2 shiny doubloons.
3
3 shiny doubloons.
Roll the
Scott,
Ottoman
you get
Empire.
1, and I get 1.
Okay.
Then,
Almost used up all the Western florins.
yeah, it's okay. That I'm gonna add more.
Of course.
And then I'm going to buy Jesuits,
Okay. Slide them on down.
And not claim victory.
but not claim victory.
Unable to a new comet on the map.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna head to the little boy's room.
The
It's on
astrology
the,
of Nostradamus.
We also
It's on the
ditched
board.
the because I bought from there
Oh, you
and
did, that's right.
the tablops.
So this
The tablops.
flips.
This is about to run out.
It is, and then we start adding Eastern cards.
And patronage is the final victory check.
Once
right?
they're both out, then yes, patron. If there's a tie, patronage is the final arbiter, or if there's no winner by the time all the comments are out. But once the Western deck runs out, we start to put Eastern cards up in there.
Right.
So the card that was in this position, the money goes here as well as the money that was already
it goes with the card.
there.
That's gone. All right, Brett. Papal Elephant is out again. So many.
I'm gonna spend
Catholic
1
cards, which I
to
guess kind of
buy
makes
this
sense.
card, and I'm gonna spend 2 to buy this card. Oh, I have a hand limit. Damn it.
You do have a hand limit of 2. There's your 2 florins back.
Rats.
There are some cards that will expand your hand limit to unlimited,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's like 1 per
Right.
per region. So 1 in the west, 1 in the east.
Sam and
What happened to the pirate guy?
What's that?
What happened to the pirate?
He got
killed
killed.
him.
He got sieged.
Yeah. I know.
Why would
It was
you do
very
that?
rude and brave of me.
It's pretty messed up.
So controversial and yet so brave.
That's right.
So yeah, what's your second go here?
Where is this? Portugal.
I'm feeling good that no one has 2 more kings than anyone else. We've all got a lot of kings.
We all have a lot of kings on hand. How many do you have, James? 3?
I have 2.
2? And Brett
Henry
has
the Navigator,
2.
right.
I also have 2, actually.
I have
Brett
Oh, he
has
has 3. You're right. That's the Pope is still in
Right.
his command.
Yeah. So we do need to watch Brett with the king.
Because if he can get 1 more, he'll have 2 more
Right.
than any other player.
That is correct. I do feel like, in my own experience, the Imperial victory is the easiest to mitigate.
It can be.
But
It is both the easiest to qualify for and the easiest to lose access to.
Right.
Because there are many ways to get kings.
right, this card, Sem Anti-Hostage, would allow someone to take out 2 of Brett's kings.
Yes, gem is great.
I'm gonna run
Seven.
the
Gem.
Western.
It is pronounced gem.
Huh.
I'm gonna run the Western trade route.
Turkish.
Take
It is.
1.
Yeah, I mean,
Scott takes 1.
That checks out.
1, 2. Jimmy gets 1,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll take 3 more.
Good lord.
This card has been
The West has been dominating
Flush,
this game, which is
yeah.
actually funny. Like I will say, I mentioned before, my favorite empire was Mehmed for the Ottomans, and that is because I've played so many games where he just goes campaigning all throughout the East and just destroys. He cleans up, and he'll have like 4 vassals.
right.
All right, so there's my
Ooh,
boy
there's your dude.
Kizelbash. He's
Right.
very good.
Just for the East.
Yeah, he sieges.
Oh,
He
yeah.
sieges in the not beheads. He sieges in the East. He jihads in the East, and he has Islamic prestige.
Right.
And he plays as a bishop, which he can move.
That's very good.
He's- yes.
That's a very
Let's see
strong
this
card.
guy.
I keep saying he.
Where is he?
It's a people, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, let's see this guy.
It is Warlord Ishmael the First conquered Persia in 1501, declaring himself Shah of Azerbaijan and Iran. His
The
Kizelbash
self-declaration.
followers declared him to be of divine Shiite birth, and of the various Sufi orders followed suit.
The self-declaration of king is that's a baller move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I did this thing. I'm probably the king.
It's like what's up in like Saudi Arabia, right? The person to sort of went around declaring himself like I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe don't get into politics now. But anyway, continuing on. My turn.
No. Let's dive into the Saudi
This game
Arabian
is very
politics
political.
right now.
$3 are on there.
Cool. Okay, so there is a comment out, and it's close to being purchased. None of us qualify for anything else yet. You're close-ish to an imperial victory.
Brett qualifies for a
Nothing.
globalization victory for sure.
Oh yeah, because you have like 100.
Yeah, because he's got a billion dudes out.
We tie for.
You're tied for voyage. Because you have
Henry the
Portugal.
Navigator. Look
Yep.
at that.
have
So
to
you guys are
have-
very close.
Yeah, I have to have one more than
If
you.
you could get rid of Henry, or
Or conquer Henry.
there is no more voyage prestige.
Right.
It only exists in the Western deck, and we have seen
So yeah,
all of
if
the
you're
Western.
able to eliminate or take Henry.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's
Which-
interesting. Yeah, there's not that much. The voyage prestige is all available,
Right,
and
these are the two
it is very
cards.
close.
Some bonus card and the one that is attached to Henry.
So Mary will not marry anybody. She'll be an old maid. She will still give her law prestige though if you pick her up.
Right, but she's not that.
Because
I mean,
France,
apart,
England, and
apart from the
Portugal-
law prestige, she's not that interesting of a
Sure.
purchase. Though I will say there is a vote out, which is another way to get republics. There's
Yes.
someone who gives it law prestige.
Yep. Two people
This
right
gives
now.
it law prestige.
Yeah.
That could be an easy, maybe an easy victory condition because no one has law right now.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. We are going to do Western ops, and I am going to start by sieging England with the Kingmaker Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick, and I'm gonna siege this marker here.
Oh no!
One English rook destroyed. Then I have other actions. Anne of Brittany can siege in France, but I don't really need to do that right now. Let's see, and I can campaign if I desire. Do I want to campaign? Campaign into the Papal States. I have money, and I do want to start cutting down on Catholics. It's my new book, Cutting Down on Catholics.
There's so many quotes
Right.
during this game where it's like
Yeah.
we just need to get rid of the Islams.
I believe I've only said let's get rid of
Right,
Catholics.
it's rough. It's like Crusader Kings 2, where
Yeah.
like there's a subreddit that's like shit Crusader Kings 2 says.
All right. Yeah, like I need to assassinate
Right.
my
Like I just need to push my
my
pregnant wife
mentally
off a
disabled
balcony.
son.
Right. Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay. I'm gonna crusade or not crusade campaign with France. And I'm gonna campaign into La Papal States.
Okay. I should throw it out there that if you do that and you get the Pope, you will have fewer.
True, you'll have.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
will
You're right.
have
You're
the
right. Because that
dominant.
sort of rough business is what's kind of keeping
Right.
that together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Okay. Is there an order of operations I can succeed with this in? I don't think so. Because I was thinking if I could take Portugal. No, I'll go into Portugal. Yeah, I'm going to attack Portugal, I guess. 'Cause who is Aragon right now? You do?
No one.
Oh, no one is Aragon. Okay, well, I'm attacking Portugal with these two in France. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm waffling on this. All I'm doing is sieging. I'm sieging. Okay, keep that there. I'm not sieging. I'm repressing. I had something else.
What are you repressing?
I'm repressing that unit there.
Okay.
So he goes on to England, and I get a buck for
Where's
it.
England?
It's over
You've
here.
got England.
I have England. Then I am playing. That's all I'm doing on my Western ops. I apologize for taking a while on that. I'm then playing Cromwell out of my hand. Cromwell is going to reform England with his two knights, killing this one, killing that heretic. Finally, they're heretics,
Right.
and that is going to flip this to a theocracy, which is also going to flip this to a republic.
Very cool.
Then, in flipping that to a republic, I get to place another concession next to England, which is going to go here, oppressing this to England. There's $1 spent. And that is going to be my turn.
Okay.
Sorry for taking a while on that.
Can you just go through what you did, just like
Yes, I know.
on the
I
board
kind of
there?
waffled around a little. I
Yeah,
apologize.
let's
I
just
knew
hit-
what I was trying to do. It was the order of
Yeah.
operations that I was screwing
just
up
hit us with what you did in
So-
a quick one?
England was medieval, and I wanted to make it reformist because I had this Cromwell card, which I'll put right here.
Great.
So what I did first is I had to get rid of. Well, last turn I had to add heretics so I could turn them into reformists. So I did that last turn by playing Kingmaker, which put Catholic units in England. Then this turn I had that same Kingmaker repress one of the rooks here. That got me $1 and made it so when I did play that Cromwell card, who adds 2 knights, they were numerous enough to defeat the 1 rook. They did that, which is what this remaining knight is. And when you succeed in a holy war, it flips the card to the other side if it matches the holy war you're doing. In this case, I was doing a Reformation war. The other side of England is reformist. It flipped, no problem. Also, because I already had the King of England, when you perform a regime change, which is what a religious war would do, on a card you already have, it turns it to its other side. Every empire card, so here's the King of England, King Edward, he flips over, instead of being a king, it is now a republic, and the English Parliament is created. So I have now created the English Parliament, and I am in control of it. That gave me another concession out here when it flips, and later will give me access to more abilities.
Right.
That's a big move.
It was
a
big.
Big.
It also repressed 2 units onto it. So
Also, it qualifies you for a victory condition.
it does.
If we were to open up the medieval age, the Renaissance victory,
I'm-
you qualify for it.
I'm 1 off of it, I believe. I need more. I need 1 more law prestige. You need 2 more than other players.
Does anyone have any?
I only have 1.
Oh, you need 2 more than... Okay,
Yep.
that checks in. Okay, well, all right. Here's how it's going to be. Again, I'm going to play Jesuits.
Okay.
Jesuits puts a Catholic bishop on the map.
So now, once again, dominant religion.
Right. Now, I'm just going to go through this anyway. I'm going to do this Crusade one-shot in Aragon.
Okay.
I'm going to enlist some aid from the nearby, I don't know, French people, I guess.
I love the French people, though.
Right, well, everything else is a theocracy, and I don't want to lose stuff in there. So these 2 French knights are going to take out these 2 Islamic rooks. Victory in Aragon.
Flips it 2.
Flips it to
Yep.
yet another
Catholic theocracy.
Catholic theocracy.
Knight in Vienna and Algiers.
And then as my second action, I will claim victory.
Because now
Now it is the
You have
dominant
the
religion.
most.
I have the most prestige.
Brett only has 2.
Yep.
Brett
You
has
have
2,
3.
and I
This
have 3.
one is just +1.
And it's just 1 more.
Yeah, it's just you need more for a stop. Doesn't matter how much more, as long as it's
Right.
more.
I have almost the entire southern half of the map as Catholic theocracies.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, everything except for the Ottoman Empire.
The Ottoman Empire cannot become a Catholic theocracy.
Right, they
It
go
can-
from Ottoman to
You're right. It goes from medieval to
yeah, just
another.
a non-theocratic state.
So what is technically the win condition for this? Like, you have
So
to...
here's the card. I'll put it right over here, Daryl, if you want to have a look at it. This is the Holy Victory. It says up top, to win, you must have more prestige for the dominant religion than any of your opponents. So prestige is going to be these little ovals in the upper right of a card. James, you have 3 Catholic prestige, which is what this is. Brett has 2. I have none. So Jimmy, you have more than any of your opponents.
Right.
You have 3 to 2. It then defines dominant religion on the bottom here. Essentially, and this is probably the most confusing or most hard to grasp victory condition of the game, but a dominant religion is one that has more bishops in the game than any other player, than any other religion. Religions are not players, they're separate from that. And so, James, you have 1 bishop. It's 1 Catholic bishop that you've put into play. And there are no other bishops in play. Unfortunately, none really came up. Then you need more units in your theocracies. And I'm saying you, I mean the religion, not a player. But the religion needs more units in its theocracies than any other religion, in any of the other 2 religions put together.
Right. So,
So
there's
if we take a
one
look at the map
yeah.
on the whole right now, we can see the symbol kind of behind the names of the states. That is if it's a theocracy or if it is a medieval state. Ottoman, for instance, has this flag. That means it is loyal to that flag, not to a religion. So this is a medieval state, not a theocratic state. However, if you look at the Papal States, Aragon, Portugal, and Mamluk, they all have that cross behind them. That means they are loyal to Catholicism. They are Catholic theocracies. And you would then compare the number of units in those theocracies. So in this case, every southern hemisphere state except the Ottomans, you will count any white unit. you will compare that to all other theocracies and how many units they have. Right now, the only one is England. You'll see England has this different looking cross up top. That is the cross of the Reformation. And they have one reformist knight. So all these others are still medieval states. You don't count any of those units. So it is England's reformist knight versus Portugal's reformist knight and 2 Catholic rooks. That's how I said reformist, Catholic knight and Catholic rooks. Plus Aragon's Catholic knight, plus the Papal States Catholic knight, plus Mamluk's Catholic knight and Catholic rook. Obviously, there are more Catholic
7
units.
7 is more than 1.
7 is more than 1, last I checked. And therefore, Catholicism is dominant in the world. James, again, has the most prestige in that dominant religion. Therefore, he is able to claim this holy victory because it was made active.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a victory condition of the game, and he's won. Well, I was working... I felt like I was starting to make a little bit happen with this Republic of England, because on my turn, if she was available, I was going to pick up Mary the Rich.
Mm.
If I was able to pick her up, or I have the money, I could also have picked up these Crimean Goths. Those would give me a second law, and that second law would have put me in the position of being able to grab the Republic victory.
Right.
I also would have flipped that. I would have flipped that and bought one of those.
Right. I was in a sort of a bad state until I got Jesuits. If I'd been unable to get Jesuits, which gave me a bishop and
prestige,
the prestige, I would have had to wait.
Yeah.
And then you were in a good spot to claim victory.
I was 2
soon.
turns away. Because one would have been getting a law and opening up the Republic victory condition. My next come around would have been buying that. Assuming no one took it. Because I had France. So France and England are 2 good offensive nations. France, England, and the Ottomans are the best, I think. Ottomans gets a bunch of knights. As does France, and England can... I mean, here they have 2. On the other side, I believe they just have 1. But they're good at campaigning. If I have both of them, which is why I attacked England instead of another place earlier when I had France... was to sort of stop other players from getting that campaign action to attack France. I then thought maybe I'd be able to... Again, I was trying to stop Catholicism, so I figured if we can flip this, that'll give me access to some stuff, and the ability to turn this into a Republic opened up. But I was a couple turns behind.
Yeah. This Aragon Crusade really sealed the deal, too. Like
It did. Yeah.
These 4 are the only Catholic theocracies on the map. So...
it is still the dominant theocracy, I believe.
Right.
I guess tied with Islam, because
right.
Islam gets Byzantium, Hungary, Papal States. Actually, Islam can have more. Islam can have 5.
Yeah.
Papal States, Ottoman,
Right,
Mamluk, Byzantium, and Hungary. So Islam can be stronger, but God, there were just so many
Catholic pieces.
Yeah, in the West, there were so many Catholic pieces coming up, and I just initially didn't have the money to buy them. I think that's where starting with less cash as the Bank of Augsburg hurts. Like initially, I think I mentioned when I was talking at the onset to Brett, like strategy wise, this is what I'm looking at. What kind of prestige is there? And there was a lot of Catholic prestige, and then later a lot of
reformist. So I started going for it because
So
it made sense. I wanted to tax more than I did. I took tableau ops like twice. I spent a lot of tactical trade fairs and buying stuff.
Taxing's hard because you need
0 concessions.
You need
on
open
the map,
towns.
but,
You do, yeah. And yeah, Brett, you ended up with a few concessions. I actually didn't pick up on that immediately until James pointed out that you were close to qualifying.
Yeah, so I put myself in a bad spot later in the game because I was tied with James for really 2 victories, and him being my right-hand opponent really means I can't do much about it unless he just makes a mistake.
Sure, if there was one thing that you both could use, he had the opportunity.
I was really hoping... I had a hard enough time just playing the game in general, so I wasn't card counting. I didn't know he had that card in his hand. So I was really just banking that he didn't have any more Catholic prestige cards in his hand.
Yeah.
There was just so much out
the
there.
only reasonable move I felt like I made the whole game was when I bought Isabella of Castile and then buried the other one under the trade route, eliminating all the Catholic prestige off the market.
Yeah.
At the time.
Jesuits saved me because the other card I had in my hand was the House of Borgia, which does not give Catholic prestige.
No.
And then the Papal Elephant gives a Catholic bishop, but no prestige.
But no prestige, yeah.
So I doubt there's any Catholic prestige in
There
here.
might be.
There might be.
Let me take a look.
But
Flip through.
there was a couple turn where I could have bought something to pivot, and I instead ran the Western trade route to take all this money, hoping that another naval prestige card would come out, and then I would be able to afford it, and James would not.
Yeah, that can be a very good gambit, but again, there are only 4 voyage prestige in the Western deck, and we only had one. Really, we only had one added to the game.
Yeah, the only prestige in this deck was religious.
I also held a card in my hand that had a conspiracy against Portugal, but I would have had to have rigged it up to actually work.
So that could have been a situation where I could have attacked here.
I was hoping England, you did, but you took it back. It ended up being moot.
Sure. Yeah, the reason I didn't is because I figured I might want to attack one of these next turn, but then Jimmy played Jesuits. So I didn't, I skipped out on that. But yeah, like a big part of this game is trying to see what other players might want to do before they do it. Like you only have a hand limit of 2, but it's usually a good idea to hang on to at least one card, just to have an ace in your up your sleeve, in your back pocket, is what I was almost about to say.
Yeah.
Like something that can, a religious war in Portugal or a religious war somewhere here that maybe you don't need now but can help you later. Which is part of the reason I bought Cromwell, because he could flip this, and I had designs to do that. But a lot of this game I think is trying to predict stuff that could happen and trying to respond to it quickly. Because once you started collecting Catholic prestige, it was going to be hard for us to come back from that.
Right. There's an aspect of this game of knowing what's in the deck that I think gives more experienced players a little bit of an advantage, because you might know, there's only so much discovery prestige, or there's only so much in the Western deck there might only be so much Catholic prestige, and there's none in the Eastern deck. And it reminds me a little bit of Twilight Struggle in that way, or a lot of card-driven war games where you have a slight advantage if you know what's in there, what's going to come up, what can come up, over anything else. It's not a bad problem to have. I think it makes future plays more interesting, but it can potentially frustrate someone who, like if Brett's going for the Discovery Prestige, and I've got Henry the Navigator, and he doesn't know that there's nothing else that's going to come up, or there's literally none of it in the Eastern deck, he might be trying to cycle the deck to get that.
I did assume there would be one, at least.
The East has none.
The East has none, and
I believe there are a total of 4 in the West, because we have 1 out, and just flipping through the deck real quick, here's the Almeida Armada is one that wasn't in the game. There's the Company of Merchant Adventurers. There is the India Armada. Conquistadors, so there are more than I thought. That's it. So,
you're right. So there
Amerigo Vespucci is from the Board Game Geek expansion kit. So there are, there are 4.
Great.
There are 4 in the core game. The Board Game Geek set of 5 cards adds 1 more.
And Henry the Navigator is always
there. And I think part of that is so you can always claim that victory.
Right. There's always it looks like there's always a king that has a patronage prestige.
Yep.
Maybe not always one with a law.
All republics have laws on the river side.
So
actually, not the Byzantine Republic, but I believe all the other ones do. Okay, not France. Some of them. Let me try, Control Z. Some of the Empire cards on their Republic side have law.
But there will always be prestige in the game.
Yes, every victory condition is possible every game.
Sure.
Some of the tightest ones I've played are that globalization victory, where if you only have Henry the Navigator, so much of the game ends up focusing on trying to control him. If you can put concessions out, which honestly, dominant concession placement in most games I've played happens.
Right.
Someone will end up with tons of concessions.
I should have taken John the Faithless.
When
I played the Crusade.
Oh, true.
It doesn't matter, but.
So James, how did you pull this win off? Just give us your strategy.
Well, a bunch of cheap Catholic stuff came up immediately, so I bought it all.
Cheap Catholic.
Yeah.
I bought I bought Santa Hermandad and Holy Land Crusade on round 1, which gave me a Catholic prestige and put 3 Catholic knights on the board. And it let me Crusade in Mamluk, which is usually a Islamic theocracy. And then as I went, I just sort of looked out for other things that could Crusade or give me Catholic prestige. And then I just kept buying that stuff at the end after I put out the Holy Victory requirement. One of the sort of crazy things about this game is, since the person who buys the comet picks which victory condition becomes eligible, instead of doing useful things that might advance the board state, it sort of forces your opponent to, like, now you have to spend actions that address my Catholicism situation. Which, yeah, it took like 2 more go-arounds for me to be able to do it, but you can't stop me from buying Jesuits and, you know, flip the board state. So you start treading water at that point. But of course, then I also get tunnel vision, and I could have easily seen a situation where someone said, okay, I'm going to buy this comet, I'm going to flip over the Renaissance victory, and surprise, I had more republics and laws, and you were just trying to get ahead.
Which is how I was trying to angle it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like once I had both of these and I saw that I could make some moves in England, I was like, okay, I can make this a republic. If Brett can make something happen here, or you don't have a purchase, you know, that can really benefit you immediately, maybe in a turn or 2, I can be qualifying for that republic victory.
Sure.
Especially, I was very close to buying Mary the Rich, because she would have been essentially, if she would have been $1 for just a law prestige. This guy may have been more attractive. Peasant Revolt in Byzantium,
which is nice.
And Siege.
Yeah.
Plus he adds Islam out there if I wanted that. But yeah, it this game is super reactionary.
Right.
And it is a game that benefits playing it a bunch. You know, I think I've played it around a dozen times, maybe like 13 times. Mm-hmm. And it's been like 6 months or so. I forgot a couple of little things around the side, but it is a game that it's not like a lifestyle game. It's not like, I feel like a lifestyle game is usually reserved for like abstracts for the most part, or like collectible games like Magic. But I feel like this is a game that you could get super invested in and play a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, I regularly see it on people's, like, this is my favorite game of all time list.
It's very easy to bounce off of too, though, because it can feel out of control.
Yeah.
It can feel like a game you play and you're like, I don't know, Brett, how you feeling, like if you felt like you didn't have choices or things you could do.
I definitely felt like I had choices. Before we go down this rant, though, I think that like the big mistake that Scott and I made was not only that had nothing to do with the Catholics, is that we really had control of the first comet. And the reason why we did that is there was a situation where you had like +1 or +2 on the Western trade route. Mm-hmm. So we had no way to raise capital without just giving you more money.
Right.
I think at one point Scott had a card that would have changed the Western trade route to over there.
Yeah, I had.
Which would have bypassed a lot of your concessions.
Yeah. It would have traded the Eastern. I would have shifted. Not the
then we could have possibly maybe bought the comet and then made something stupid that you wouldn't have been able to achieve.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a bit of card counting that goes into this game, because in a 3-player game, you're going to add 12 cards to the top of the deck. So the 13th card is the earliest a comet could come out. But it can be anywhere, like in basically the second half of the deck in this case. So you start with having 5 cards out here plus turning 1 face down, so that's 6. Off of that 12, potentially in 6 purchases of this row or 6 markets, you could have a comet come out. In a 3-player game, you might get to go twice before a comet shows up, right, in some cases. Which, like, you need to start planning for when comets come around. I think that's where putting a card up your sleeve helps.
Absolutely.
Or to be saving up cash. Like, make sure, you know, if you can foresee yourself in a spot where maybe you get a bunch of Catholic prestige, to hang on to 5 florins. So if that comes up, right when it comes up, you can buy it. It's easier said than done, of course, but it's something you try to think about of when is the comet going to come out. Do I need to be ready to buy it right away? Because that depends if the other players are ready to buy it right away. I was a little bit, I think I underestimated you at a time because I saw you only had 2 florins. And I knew when the comet came up, it'd be 4 or 5, depending on how many cards got bought. And I wasn't confident you'd be able to afford it. in retrospect, you had, like you said, James had 2 concessions out here. That's one trade fair play by you. You play the Western Trade Fair, you get one automatically, you get a second one, you get a third one.
Right, and that's
now
exactly
you have
what I
5,
did. Is
you can buy that.
took that action, bought the comet. Yeah, the ideal situation is buy the comet and claim victory.
It's basically never
I don't
happens.
know if I've ever played a game of this where that's happened. Maybe
your
once,
opponents would be
but-
having to not pay any attention.
Right.
But yeah, like there's usually a go around for people to react to your comet purchase, which is I think where 4 players hurts in this game. Like, if even with just the 2 of us trying to push against your Catholic victory, we were able to hold you off for a bit just by 1 or 2 cards shifting. If there was another player here, that's 30% more opportunity for someone to hurt you.
And I think that gets into that situation where it feels a little bad, where I buy a comet and I say, okay, Holy Victory is active. And like someone who's not even trying to stop me is just able to sort of coast on other people trying to stop me.
Sure.
And then they say, okay, yeah, I have the most kings, so I win.
Which can create interesting game states where someone has to do something to upset the person winning, but no one wants to be that person. And I think sometimes games like Twilight Imperium could run into that. I know Daryl, James, and we all have played a fair amount of Twilight Imperium, where you end up in a situation where you see what a player is doing, you see a player doing really well, and you could try to stop them, you could try to intercept them going into Mechatol Rex, but their other neighbor could also try to intercept them. And so you don't want to give up your game.
Someone has to do it. But
someone has to do it, but who's going to be able to do it?
You have 3 command counters or whatever.
Right. And like,
you have to get your own victory points.
and that can make really fascinating game states. I feel like, in my experience, more often than not, in Pax Renaissance, it doesn't.
Right. I think it feels sort of bad that someone is going, like, they're just getting free actions because someone else has to take up the...
Right.
Um,
And the economy of actions in this game can be super tight.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not a loose game in that regard. Having 2 moves is nuts.
Like, tableau ops action is really interesting to me that, you know, at this point I have
so many Western cards.
Yeah, 7 actions potentially. But, yeah, I mean, really, I only took 1 or 2 of them a couple times.
Yeah, and now compared to Mike, earlier you asked about PAX Premier versus PAX Renaissance. And a big difference between those 2 is the way in which you take actions. So in Premier, there's no such thing as Eastern or Western tableau. You don't split them. And each card is sort of evaluated independently for an action on your turn. If you have 2 things you can do on your turn, one of them could be doing an action off of one of your cards. Unless now that game has the sort of free action.
Yes.
Where one color of action is going to be free in a given round. And this game, instead, you do East or Western ops. And in your case, you have 100 Western cards, which means you could do 100 actions with one actual action you take, which is crazy. Like that, you can.
That does sort of happen in Pax Premier too, right? Like you can get to a point where you have a series of things you can do as free actions that are separate from your actual actions.
You can.
Yeah.
If you end up in a spot where in Premier, let's say the red is a military regime, and red actions are free, and you just so happen to have 3, whatever red.
The regime
red
has to be.
But it also benefits other players, not just you. In this, I'm building on my own success of having cards.
Right.
Just fine, but
because there's no limit to the number of cards you can have.
But yes, in Premier, if other people have those red actions, it's free for them too.
Right. It benefits everyone in that regard. In a lot of cases, it is about building little combos.
Right.
Where, like, this was a 1-turn combo for me, but in some cases you can have big ones, but where I played the Kingmaker to add heretics to England, then repressed one of them to get money and remove one, and then played Cromwell to do a religious war that I now had majority in.
Right.
So, like, a little card combo there can be, that can pay off if you can do it regularly or do it in a big way once. And sometimes you can do that with actions, where it might be, you guys are adding a ton of money here. Well, I have 4 commerce actions in the West, so I'm just going to take all that money. Every time you spend money on these cards, I'm just going to get all of it on my turn.
Right.
Or I'm going to siege, and then I'm going to campaign. I'm going to siege in England and then campaign from France to England, and then I'm going to siege in Aragon and then campaign from France to Aragon in the next turn.
Right.
Like, where I have these couple of cards that are letting me really open up the board for my favor. The Ottoman king, King Mehmed and Sultan Mehmed, ends up being the best at that, I think. Because you end up with guys that we didn't play them because they didn't really come out, but Gem Anti-Hostage can siege in the Ottoman Empire. He is very good against Mehmed. But we had, I think he got buried at some point, but the Safavids, they can siege somewhere else around here. Or Kizilbash. Kizilbash is great because he can siege anywhere in the east. So with him, if you siege Mamluk, then have the Ottomans march into Mamluk, it might be 2 knights versus 1 rook here.
Right.
That's a victory.
Right.
Now...
Or it can get to that situation like we had with the Papal States where there's nothing there.
Right.
And then it's easy to...
So Kizilbash plus Mehmed can be a great combo because he can open up just enough for Mehmed to march in.
Right.
That is where I said I've seen games where Mehmed has 3 vassals underneath him.
Yeah.
And that's because a card like this can allow him to do that pretty much every turn. And that can be really powerful. Of course, that is where Gem Anti-Hostage can behead in the Ottomans. So we can just behead Mehmed, and then all of his vassals are gone. So it's a bit of a fragile kind of setup. It's a bit of a glass cannon a little with Mehmed. Once he's killed, everyone below him falls too. But it can still be a very good thing to do. And that's something you sort of see the more you play this game, the kind of ways you can combo things together. I wasn't able to pull it together that much this game. I feel like you had a pretty decent setup going, James. Obviously, you won. And you tried to tax a bunch, which I think you did tax a few times to add more Catholics. Brett, you kept trying to flip Byzantium, and I think Jimmy, you taxed it, and then you maybe did a trade fair to add more.
Yes, the Catholic then Kaffa came up a couple times, but
in a lot of cases, I think if you can't make a swift change to this game, like in one turn, it's going to get reversed.
Right.
Like it's hard to whittle away at a card because other players will end up adding to it at some point. Well, yeah. So there's Pax Renaissance. It is a game that can end suddenly, and we did see your victory coming a bit, Jimmy. But it did. I feel like
it still took a couple go rounds for that to be resolved.
Well, with all these combos, it's basically the Mortal Kombat of board games.
It's more like the Street Fighter.
It's more like Street Fighter. So yeah. So Mehmed is kind of like a Kuma. All right. So he has very high offensive ability. He's got an air fireball and a teleport, but he has the lowest health of any character. So you can knock him down pretty fast. Whereas I like to think of my boy over here, Louis the 11th, more like a Zangief. He's the Red Cyclone. He's going to give you those 360 pile drivers and the green fist. He'll green hand all of his neighbors.
Yeah, but who's the Guile?
So Guile is always down left. Okay, so that's gonna be Portugal. That's Henry the Navigator. He's always crouching, ready for the flash kick or for the sonic boom.
That's right.
And he's also got that bazooka cannon that actually lets you charge your down left or you're not your down left, your standing left. It lets you charge your sonic boom and move because the bazooka knee pushes forward. So you keep charging and doing the medium low kick.
This is out of control.
Have you played the Street Fighter game?
The Exceed?
The Exceed.
I have not. You're a big Exceed fan,
you
right?
like
I like
Exceed.
Yeah, I have not played it, no.
Let's give that a shot. I gotta get my Delcine going.
Sure, yeah. I know almost nothing about
Right.
Exceed.
It's a card game that has Street Fighter in it.
All right, I guess
Sold, right.
Yeah, get Graham Carlson out here.
Theme is everything.
That's all that
Any
matters.
any last minute thoughts before we jump off here?
Yeah, James, you won, so why don't you speak last?
Yeah.
Brett, what do
A
you have to say?
last thought.
Well, I appreciate Scott letting me on here. I haven't played this game in like over a year and a half. This is my only second play, and I wish I could have made more interesting decisions. But like the mental load on this game to make what I would call first order decisions, which are like literally what can I do on my turn, and like they'll do anything positive for me. That was like what I maxed out on this game. I could see a scenario if I played this like 5 times plus times in a short period of time, where I would be able to get to those higher order decisions where I could like make reads off other players. But this is probably one of the crunchier games I've ever played.
Yeah,
And I'm no stranger to the heavier games.
It is certainly, I think, the highest crunchiness to box size ratio of any game that I've got. I mean, the box size is very tiny, so it's a little baby, and it's I mean, I guess it's like probably about 30% larger
Right. I mean,
than
it's just
the
a card
PAX
game,
Premier
yeah,
box.
but like even compared to some other Sierra Madre games,
This is harder to play than High Frontier, I feel like.
I don't know. I feel like this game's easier to teach than High Frontier, and I guess because maybe this is more directly competitive than
Yeah.
High Frontier.
I do think this is maybe one of the heaviest games I've played, and I think a big part of that. I think I've only played Pax Premier and Pax Ren as far as the PAX games go, but like the brain burn on them is real.
Yeah.
With like
From an
That's-
outsider perspective, this is way burnier.
yeah,
than
no, I
Premiere.
I agree. I think this is like really, really, really crunchy as far as
It certainly is.
you have to assess everything on the board. You have to count the cards to make sure your opponents can't buy them. You have to constantly be checking what everyone else has. Manage your own things. Set up your combos right, and react to the certain thing, like the certain changes in the board state that your opponents are making. And that can get really brutal really quickly.
Yeah, I can.
And other games do that too. I referenced Twilight Struggle earlier. That gives that feeling of like, oh, I'm drowning and I'm always reacting to things. But that's just the game.
Sure.
And it's only one opponent.
Right. It's
Yes.
just one opponent. Yeah, this is constantly reacting to the board state and your opponent's board state and the possible things that they could be doing. Like, I had forgotten all about, like, oh yeah, I can just sell this card that has your bishop.
Yeah.
Well, that sets me back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, yeah, there's, like, a lot of Sierra Madre games will have these, like, more complex rule sets, or, you know, we've joked about High Frontier, like, the living rules go to Z, or, like,
Sure,
double
yeah.
J, or whatever. But a lot of those are very specific sort of instances, or, like, the procedural things in a certain context, and that game is not super directly competitive in the way that
Doesn't have to be.
this one, right? It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, this has to be.
Yeah, right. I can't just say, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like cruise on over to Pluto.
Sure.
Uh,
And you've
I,
got
I really don't think High Frontier is as crunchy as anything like this or
Right.
Premiere. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
right.
You might be right.
High Frontier is very mathy.
It's math, but it's not like you choose to do a thing and you're not really considering what other people are doing. You're just
Right.
going like, I'm gonna go to Pluto, and then you're gonna do it. It has
and you're gonna get some points for doing it.
right, like you going to all these meteors doesn't matter to me. It doesn't
Sure.
really affect me.
It affects you in the sense that if I am more efficiently getting points than you, then you're losing.
Yeah.
Right, I have to
But-
consider that, but I can't really do anything.
Unless I'm the PRC, I'm not really doing direct damage to you.
Right.
Like if I'm the PRC, maybe I'm stealing your claims.
Right.
You know, maybe I'm being aggressive. But also, the solar system is bigger than a chunk of Europe, right?
Right.
So like, yeah, Mike, you can go to Pluto, or you can go to wherever. You can go to Hertha, Jimmy, and I can go to Mercury.
You know I love Hertha.
And it's sort of where in High Frontier, it is a social game. There's the auction, which this is a different stream to talk about High Frontier, but I think the auction is the game of High Frontier in a lot of
Right.
ways in terms of direct competition.
I mean, it's
But-
part of the game that is at least you have any purchase over the other people. The rest of the game is like role playing almost.
To some degree.
Oh yeah. I mean,
But like in this, yeah, everything you do, you're saying, Jimmy, that you have to figure out what are you doing as far as your combos. What's in the Western market? What's in the Eastern market? What have my opponents purchased from those markets? What is the current map state based? Like the map starts the same every time, but what is it turned into based on what other
Right.
people have done? If I play, just order of operations, like I was struggling with a little. First thing I need to do is I need to play Kingmaker to add heretics. Actually, before that, I need to buy Cromwell. Then I need to play Kingmaker to add heretics. Then I need to take Western Ops to kill a unit in England. So then I can play Cromwell, who can then take this as the Reformation.
Right.
If I took England already, that then flipped it to a Republic.
Right.
If one of those things doesn't happen in that order, I'm losing
well, and
something.
not to mention you did all that, and then I just played a card that I had in my
Sure.
hand already, and won.
Right. To stop you from getting in that spot, I needed to stop you from getting in that spot.
Right.
I needed to be able to, in advance of that, say, okay, there's 2 Catholic prestige out here. If I don't buy one right now, Jimmy has the potential to buy both. can I avoid that? If I can't, instead of chasing you, how can I... So instead of you putting me in a spot where I need to answer you, how can I put myself in the position where you have to answer to me?
Right.
Okay, you have Catholic prestige, but what if I pick up Islamic prestige? Then are you going to try to benefit yourself, or are you going to try to hurt
Right.
me?
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, Cromwell is a good purchase for that too, because it gives you reformist prestige.
Sure,
but-
which, reformist, like I said at the onset, is probably the hardest
Right.
holy victory to make happen, just based on the fact that they start with nothing on the board. There aren't as many that add stuff out there.
But there are some in the Eastern deck too, which
Right,
is a
they'll
benefit.
split it a bit.
Right.
But yeah, I like Pax Renaissance. Of the Pax games I've played, which I've played one game of Porfiriana, I've played Premier First Edition and Second Edition a few times, and I've played this one the most. I would say, I certainly like this one the most of those. I'm very curious about Transhumanity, but Transhumanity is also a very different game. It isn't, I guess, as combative as this. Transhumanity is a whole thing, which we'll play that at some point. But yeah, I like the direct competition. I like how tight everything feels in terms of your actions having, in
Right.
many cases, immediate consequences of some sort. There is a lot of fiddliness to the rules. There's a lot of, okay, if I tax you, who gets that money? Okay, if I repress you and it costs me a coin, where does that money go? If I play the repress action, who gets this cash? There's a lot of stuff that sort of has the same consequence ultimately. If I'm going to play a thing here, it is going to repress this token.
Right.
And it's going to cost money, but where does that money go? How does it function? How does it flow?
Well, and this little rules cheat sheet has religious war as the rule,
Sure.
but the cards are not religious war.
No, they're
It is
jihad or
jihad,
crusade.
Reformation, or crusade.
Right. And you just need to know that
Right.
those three are under the
Right.
religious
They're
war
not
umbrella.
different
No.
apart from which faction.
Different flavor.
Right.
Is it Islam trying to take over, or is it the
Right.
reformists? Mechanically, that doesn't really make a difference, but thematically it does.
Right.
And this game is big on theme.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously, right? There's a whole lot here. With any Phil Eklund game is huge on theme.
Right. The meat of every card is a paragraph describing who
Sure.
this person or people or whatever is, and then a large picture of it.
Right.
There's almost as much thematic, non-gameplay relevant information as there is gameplay relevant information.
I think these cards are actually pretty clean, especially maybe I'm only thinking this actually because of Pax Porfiriana, which I don't own Pax
right.
Porfiriana anymore.
Yeah,
but
those cards are a nightmare.
they're wild looking
Yeah.
cards, and I think they have a charm to them, but they're hard to parse.
Right. Yeah, having played this a few times, I know what I'm looking at, but I think when you said, "Hey, I bought Pax Renaissance, let's play it," and you showed me these cards for the first time, I said, "I don't know what I'm looking at all."
Yeah, and like almost everything is double sided. The map cards are double sided.
Right.
The Empire cards are double sided. For how much is packed into these cards, there's a lot there. And I know this sort of spawned off of Lords of the Renaissance, I think is the name of the game, and it was one of Phil's old titles.
Got it.
And there was Lords of the Sierra Madre, which turned into Pax Porfiriana. There's Rocket Flight, which turned into High Frontier. There's Lords of the Renaissance that turned into Pax Renaissance, and they have maps. Like this has a map too. Porfiriana has a virtual map. Like there are locations on some cards, but you don't lay anything out.
Sure.
I'd be curious to try the Lords titles, because they are this kind of thing blown out a little more. I don't know which one has more decision making space. I don't know. I mean, maybe this one is the more well regarded game, but also maybe it's just the more played. It's more available.
Sure.
I know I've mentioned Lords of the Spanish Main, which is like a pirating game. And,
I don't know about a beta version of these.
So that's the thing.
That
Yeah,
I don't know.
Are
how
they
that
beta
would play.
versions, or is this like a sequel? Right? Like
I don't know.
is
yeah.
the other are the Lords games just tough and kind of
by virtue
bristle?
of them being after or before you've learned from their gameplay to move to this to develop this game. So
That's
Right.
possible.
There has to be a thought process of like why you would tighten things up or
Right,
change things
right,
around.
right.
anyway,
But-
we should sign this thing.
Yeah,
up.
let's wrap it up. James, congratulations
No, thank
on your
you.
victory.
Yeah, feels good. Feels good. to
Thank
do
you for the
that.
people that tuned in live. Thank you for people that watched the archive afterwards. If you like what we're doing, paypal.me/phasingplayer. We appreciate any penny or any dollar we get. And we've been doing this now for the last few weeks. We've been going up every 2 weeks on the nose. We'll bring something else to you in the future. I know the holidays are coming up. That'll probably skew things a little bit. But yeah.